Hello and welcome to episode 12 of season 5 of The Sausage Factory. The Sausage Factory, as you all know, just a bunch of guys sitting around talking about movies. I'm your moderator, Pizzell, and joining me tonight, I have got the infamous Rambo Raff. What's going on, Rambo?
Doing good. Thanks for having me. Really interested in talking about this really funny Mother Crusher. Because
He's
for
one
those
lucky fighter, that's
really
for
funny
sure.
melon farmer.
Yeah.
Also with me tonight is Eric, Easy E. How's it going, Eric?
Hey, how you doing? I'm great.
It's good to see you. You've been on a little hiatus here, but
It's
good to have you back.
yeah. I am sorry. I hope that the Sausage Factory Nation doesn't hold it against me. I know that Orc has got it, written down in my HR file, but I just moved. I got sick. We were visited by parents every damn week. I think life is finally evening out. Although I am going to Vegas at the end of the month, and so whatever show we have planned for the last week of April, I'm probably gonna miss that one too.
Wow, Vegas, nice. Going down there to take care of the kids' college funds on some craps and
First of all, I am like the worst person for Vegas. I hate wasting money. I went to Vegas as part of a bachelor party once, and the only game I felt comfortable playing because I felt like I understood all the facets was War. And in 25 seconds, I lost like $50, and I was like, fuck this. This is the worst thing ever. I don't know. I should have spent that money. I saw there were like lobster enchiladas at the restaurant, like in the casino. I was like, I should have spent my $50 there. I would have gotten more for it. But yeah, I'm going for like a work convention. So
yeah. I had what I do. They're having like a convention training meeting kind of thing in Vegas.
nice.
So I emailed the thing to the lady that works for my agency that schedules and pays for that thing. She messaged me back and she was like, LOL. That was the reply email. LOL. In other words, no Vegas trip for me, I'm guessing. So
Yep.
Yeah, I tried though. But also with me is the Professor B Movie Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing? Nobody better throw some shade on Murray, or they can just shut the front door.
There you go. How have you been, Mike? Are you feeling better? I know you were a little under the weather last week.
I'm coming out of it. Sinuses are still a little goofy, but hanging in there, doing better.
Good to hear.
This week has been hell week, though, because WWE has been in town. It was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday they had events. And then they opened up the Jimmy Fallon ride this morning at 8:30 out at Universal, and Jimmy Fallon and The Rock has been out there all week. So I haven't been able to really leave because everywhere you go, there's millions of people, and I prefer quieter situations with less people. But other than that, feeling better, doing good, ready for the Murray.
All right.
Definitely a big influence on my sense of humor.
Oh, definitely. And Cole has just jumped on. How you doing, Cole?
Yeah, not too bad. Pretty good, I think. Hopefully, I don't know. The last time I was on here with Jay, I had some like technical issues where I was cutting out an awful lot. So hopefully it doesn't happen here. Don't know what the cause was, but should be all right.
Okay. Our fingers crossed. I do have to mention something to Sausage Factory Nation. Because of YouTube's new, very strict and stringent guidelines toward appropriate content on YouTube, the shows are probably going to run about half an hour to 45 minutes from now on because the prison rape stories, no more. Profanity of any kind is completely, forget about that.
Shoot.
Anything that's suggestive, gone. So we're gonna. This is the. Forget about the PG era. This is the G era of the Sausage Factory going forward, and so the shows are probably going to end up running about 30 to 45 minutes from here on in. But personally, I say I welcome this new era, the PG era. I think it's going to be, gosh darn excellent, and
Swell.
It's swell. It's going to be absolutely swell. It's going to be a corker. So let's go ahead and let's get the the new era, the G era of the sausage think I cut out there, but let's get the new G era of the Sausage Factory rolling in.
I thought you hit the dump button on
YouTube.
yourself. I thought you cursed maybe, so you were self-bleeping.
Yeah, I've got the no. YouTube holds the dump button, and they
Okay.
push it quite frequently on this show, as you know.
Mhm.
But anyway, how have you guys been? Have you seen any good movies since last week? Eric, you've not been around for a couple weeks. Have you seen any good movies?
So the one benefit of having my parents around was I had a night out, and we finally got out to see Lego Batman, which I really liked. I thought that was a great movie.
I enjoyed it too.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, it was kind of like it sort of did everything I was hoping it would do, which was like send up the entire Batman franchise. Which I like. They did it even more than I expected them to.
Yeah, they reference like all the movies, the TV show. They reference everything, which is great.
There's like the Joker bit about like it's like Batman always stops you though. Well, oh yeah, like when? Like remember the parade with the Prince music? Like for some reason I just thought like that was the funniest thing to me in that movie, that one line. But yeah, no, I thought it was a good movie. It's weird though, like for some reason I think I enjoyed the Lego movie on like in total, I think a little bit more than the Batman movie. I'm not sure why. But it was a good movie. Yeah, I'm glad we saw it.
Nice.
They also had like every villain, including like Crazy Quilt.
Yes.
I got Party's like, I'm pretty sure you just made some of those up. Full disclosure, as a Batman, they made none of those up. Those were all real. So.
In fact, I forgot. I meant to look up Condiment King or whatever. I want to see like his issue.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think I can't remember if his first appearance was on the animated series or not. He might be one of those. His appearance on the his appearance on the animated series is great too. He's voiced by who's that guy? Murphy Brown. He was Miles on Murphy Brown. Anyway, he was really funny in it. Doug something, no.
Oh wow, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Grant
I don't know the
Shout.
actor's name.
His name is Grant Shout or Shoot or whatever like that. Anyway, he's really funny in that.
Good reference. Jeez.
Anybody else?
I know my animated series.
An older film I finally got a chance to find and watch. It's a 1989 film made a year before Home Alone, but it's pretty much if Home Alone meets Silent Night, Deadly Night meets a little bit of Die Hard.
Whoa. Wow.
It's a French, like in the UK, a French film where a kid around Christmas time is taking care of his grandpa, and this guy in a Santa suit breaks into the house. And think of it as a darker edge version of Home Alone, where the guy
they should have sued Home Alone.
The guy in the Santa suit even kills the dog in the neck, and the kid is a Rambo fan, so he's dressed up like Rambo, and he's shooting like he's got like a toy grenade that he's putting explosive in, and put like a little toy car to try and get to the Santa, and he's like in this big old mansion. And
what's the movie called?
It's called Game Over.
Game Over.
1989. Overseas is 3615 Code Parade Noel. It's back in the 80s or in the UK. There was some type of computer system, public system that you could type in and kind of, it was a prelude to chat.
Oh, yeah, I know that thing.
So it's a 1989 film.
That lasted until like only a few years ago. There were still like really old people that used it instead of like the internet. They could use it for banking and things like that too. That lasted so long.
So it was a 1989 version of a chat room, and that's how he thinks he's contacting Santa, but in fact it's an old guy who dressed up in a Santa suit who's a psycho. And it's really like PG-13 or whatever, but it's very, very rare to find. Never been on DVD.
But quite prophetic.
Yeah. But
little kids been fighting perverts online now for a long time.
Yeah. And I can't remember the name of that system, but yeah, and that was like the very first way that people would like have like cyber sex and stuff like that, and it was like a big part of it, and like it was a specific device that you bought and you'd have in your home, and it was like a computer hybrid thingy and stuff like that, but you could use it to like access banking and stuff like that too. What the hell is it called? I need to look that up. Because, yeah, I didn't even realize, but that ran, like, they never actually shut it down until, like, maybe there were still, like, really old people that still used it because they didn't like new computers.
I've got to track that movie down. It sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very rare idea. It's never been on DVD. The only way I was able to do is because a friend of mine sent me a DVD-R because he found a torrent, because you need subtitles for it. So it's very rare. There is a trailer on YouTube, but I hopefully it gets a DVD release, because I thought it was pretty decent, and I thought it was interesting that I guess it's like Home Alone by a year before, but a darker version of it. So, like Poe said, they should have
sued the hell out of them.
Home Alone.
That's cool.
So,
what about you, Mike? Have you seen anything this week? Or well, you pretty much stayed in because of the WWE took over Orlando, right?
Yeah, Get Out's still playing locally, and I thought about going to see that, but plans fell through.
Right.
So I watched a movie related to the subject we're going to talk about tonight, one that I hadn't seen in a very long time. But
Nice.
one of the significant things that happened was Mastodon put out a new CD this week, Emperor of Sand. I highly recommend it if you like progressive metal, rock. It's good stuff.
Yeah, they've been playing the that first single on Sirius.
Show Yourself. That's
yeah.
a very funny video. I definitely recommend that. But that's the only song on this that actually sounds like that. The rest of it sounds different. So if you're going to buy it based on that one song, it's the only song that sounds in that style. The rest of it's more experimental, multiple time signatures, their usual stuff. That was just something they decided to throw a rock song on there because they're getting older and they like to experiment more. So
they're the guys that have like no one clear singer, right? They all kind of
Right.
Yeah, the drummer sings "Show Yourself." The bass player is the main singer. He sings the choruses, and then Brent Hines, their lead guitar player, does sing some songs too. They were a lot more aggressive when they started out in 2000. They've been around a while, and they've kind of incorporated more melody and more things along the way, and I really enjoy it. Good band.
Yeah. What about you, Cole? Have you seen anything this week?
Not besides just some of the stuff I had, doing some Ralph Bakshi stuff. But the other day, just started to kill time just to see if I could. Like, I was doing something else, and I thought this will be good to put in the background because I haven't seen this movie in years. It's not a good movie, but I can't remember much of it, and maybe like I'll be able to like appreciate some of it. And I tried to watch Speed 2: Cruise Control.
Wow.
Operative
That's
word
a
being
rough
tried.
Like, I mean,
a
as somebody who likes the 90s a lot, it reminds you of everything that was like bad about the 90s. You're just like, oh, it's so bad. And I just, I don't know.
Those movies, it's like the only reason it got greenlit was because dollar signs. That was it.
It's pretty amazing. Like, I never really thought of Keanu Reeves as a particularly like charismatic guy, but he just seems that way if you compare him to what's his name in this?
Jason Patrick.
Yeah.
Jason Patrick is just so flat and bland, and like there's just no way to root for him. You're just like, why?
He was on some heavy sedatives, I think, making that movie. He was just not,
or something.
Yeah.
And I mean,
And the villain.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I was gonna say Willem Dafoe seems, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
talk about him later on the show. Willem Dafoe seems like tailor made to be like, yeah, okay, who can follow up Dennis Hopper or be a crazy villain? It's like, well, who's this? I mean, we already saw it in David Lynch world. It's like, who's gonna follow up Dennis Hopper there? Well, Willem Dafoe does a pretty good job playing a horrifying scumbag in Wild of Heart, where he's Bobby Peru. So it's just like, yeah, this makes sense. He can be a terrible bad guy, like, but not at all. Like, and I like Willem Dafoe, and I think he can be good. But in this, I don't know. He just didn't have much to work with. He's like,
that's the one where he
some
had the
guy that can run
leeches.
around a boat, and he could
Yeah,
run around a
there's
boat and
leeches
sort
on
of like, I don't know. His power was like he could like hack into things and make doors close and things blow up. It's like, oh wow, you're so scary.
Yeah.
It's like you're a worse version of the villain from Under Siege 2.
Die Hard 4.
Mm.
Well, I mean, it's Speed 2,
But I didn't even get to the end. I didn't even see like the final part, like the last like 20 minutes or whatever. I didn't even watch it, so I don't know.
Oh, so did you see the boat crash? Because that might be the only thing in that movie that's particularly interesting, just because it's like technically kind of cool.
No,
like,
I didn't even see that. I guess I can finish it off. I've got like it's like paused on Netflix with about 25 minutes to go or something.
20 of the 25 minutes are the boat crashing, because it's like the boat like crashes into a dock, and it the sequence lasts forever. So it's sort of cool at first, and then at a certain point you're like, okay, can the crash be over now? Like it's not done.
But yeah, just totally unnecessary sequel, especially when you have something that's such specific subject matter. It's like Speed 2. It's not the same, but it has one of the characters. It's not a boat.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I mean, it was rough because I was thinking, I remembered it as bad, but I was just like, okay, don't judge it too harshly. It can just be something dumb and fun, but no, there's much more fun movies out there, especially without Jason Patrick's dead eyes.
Yeah.
It's awesome when like the little death girl hits on him, though. That's a great moment. He reuses the line from the first one about how like relationships based on like intense situations never work out. I'm just like, that's an interesting way to bring us that line where he's like turning down the advances of an amorous 14-year-old.
We talk about Keanu Reeves. The first Speed was kind of like a shock because before you'd seen him in River's Edge, Bill and Ted, and all of a sudden he's a cop. So I went to see that kind of questioning how he's going to be able to pull it off because he plays a stupid stoner really well. How's he going to play a guy with extreme mental faculties? But he pulled it off.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it really makes you appreciate Keanu Reeves. Yeah. He's watching Speed, 2 Cruise Control, and it's not like he's had good choices for scripts or anything. Like, I mean, he didn't do anything good the year that came out. That's for sure. Like this is around like a
he
little
went
while
on
after
his band. He tour of his band.
Dog Star.
I mean,
Dog
he was
Star.
coming off like Johnny Mnemonic and stuff, But anyway,
Great movie. Great
he did
movie.
Point Break.
Yeah, no.
Time,
What was that one he did with Morgan Freeman?
Chain Reaction.
Chain Reaction. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
That
about
was
that one.
96.
Yeah,
I love Dolph
that's
Lundgren
around
as
that
Johnny
era.
Mnemonic.
That's
That's the
the
best
only thing
part
I
of
like.
Johnny
That's the only
Mnemonic is
thing
Dolph
that's good about
Lundgren.
it.
You mean like he got killed by Flipper? The psychic Flipper?
That part's.
I don't
not
remember
good.
how he got. I don't remember how he got killed. I just remember him.
A dolphin like a Flipper he psychically kills Dolph Lundgren.
I just meant like as much as it seems like maybe Keanu Reeves dodged a bullet there, but it's not like he was doing great stuff at the same time. 95, 96, 98, he was the Matrix kind of revived him a bit.
Well, Mike had brought up Get Out earlier, and how it's still kind of, it's been on for almost 2 months at this point, yet it's still playing in theaters, and it's still hanging around in the top 10 of the box office, which I think is really awesome. Yeah. And it just recently eclipsed the
movie in like 3 years. Like all I've read is and 5 stars
and it
whatever.
Just recently eclipsed the Blair Witch Project as the highest grossing directorial debut from a writer-director based on an original screenplay.
Nice.
And I
All
thought
this
that
does is worry me because I still haven't seen it, and I keep hearing such amazing, glowing things. And there comes a point, like that's what happened to me with like Avatar. Like for some reason, everybody loved Avatar. It was so great, and I finally saw it, and it was okay.
I mean,
I don't know. It felt like everybody forgot about Avatar until it happened. I was like the only person anticipating Avatar. I was the only person that was still following it. And most people didn't even seem to know what Avatar was until they saw it. Then it became this big, huge thing. So I felt kind of on the other side of it. It's like, I've been waiting years for this, and I'm happy. And then, of course, the backlash to success. I'm not saying it was a great movie. It had all sorts of dumb cliches and stuff, but I still liked it. But I was going to say, we talked a lot about this lately, but I just feel like this is like Get Out is just another victim of what we talked about lately, which is they just show way too much in the trailer. I just feel like everything is possibly you could like would be cool was given away in that trailer. Like I can't imagine watching that movie and having like one surprising moment or anything like that.
And some of the stuff in the trailer isn't in the movie.
Oh, it's one of those.
Well, I lived 1 or 2 shots. I don't want to spoil it since he hasn't seen it, but.
I mean, the Blu-ray was announced for next month.
What was that?
The
Blu-ray.
The Blu-ray.
The release is coming out next month.
Yep.
Nice.
Blu-ray is coming out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's still at my theater.
Yeah, it's out here.
I mean,
I think part of the reason that it's been so successful is because it is an original. It's not a comic book movie. It's not a remake, a reboot, a sequel, a prequel. It's its own thing. And
it's a lot like Stepford Wives.
Well,
yeah.
But it's not Stepford Wives Part 2.
No.
It's not
Next Generation.
And like I said, it is nice to see like a totally just original movie that's not based on this or that or an adaptation. That's true, yes. And you want to see those succeed because we're totally lacking originality. But
and I hope that shows the studios that we do want original stuff that doesn't have to cost $100 million to make, and it'll still make
Right, and it's not full of like name actors or anything. It's just
exactly.
At the end of the day, I don't think it's a 5 out of 5 star, but I think it's a well-made movie. So if you go in thinking, hey, I want to see a movie that's more than decently made, it's at least that. It's a well-made movie, I think, for a guy who's never done horror before.
I never expect any movie to be perfect. I just want to go in and see some effort and some creativity. I want to see an attempt to make a good movie and hopefully have a good story.
I definitely see that in Get Out. So
the fact that Jordan Peele's the fact that he's mostly from comedy gives me like a slight glimmer of hope, and maybe I'm comparing the wrong things, but I forget the dude who's doing Halloween. How's his name?
David Gordon Green.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, him and
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. Like, there's a part of me that wonders if maybe the comedian sensibility, because like if you think about comedians, like they can be funny, but they can also go to some dark places. And I wonder if maybe that this might because even like Seth Rogen, he's doing Preacher on AMC, and that's gotten pretty good reviews, and that's like a pretty dark kind of. I'm wondering if that might be a good portent for what Halloween is going to.
They got something good going for them. It can't be any worse than the Rob Zombie piece of crap, can it?
Yeah.
Well, that's a low bar, right?
Low bar.
I think comedy and horror aren't that dissimilar, because with comedy you have, sort of a setup to a punchline. In horror you have a setup to a kill.
Yep.
So there is some similarities there, and I think David Gordon Green is a good filmmaker. Before he got into comedy, he made really, he was making movies that were being produced by Terrence Malick. You know what I mean? So he had some serious cred. And at this point, throw it, just let him take a shot at it. You know what I mean? And I think too, to be a good comedian, you have to be intelligent. So let them
good powers of observation.
Right.
Depends on the comedian.
I'm talking
I
about
won't name anybody though.
I'm talking about Carrot
Rob
Top,
Schneider.
the best, the top of the top. You know what I mean?
Rob Schneider, Pauly Shore.
Pauly Shore is a genius.
I know In the Army Now is the best movie ever.
Well, I was going to say The Son-in-Law.
I like Son-in-Law.
Son-in-Law.
I do too. I like The Son-in-Law. I like Encino Man too.
Yeah.
But
for how bad Biodome is, I've seen Biodome like 7 times, so there must be something I like.
It's entertaining. It's stupid, but it's entertaining.
Yeah.
But I say
it's
give him a shot.
Everything somebody says against it is true. But
Yep.
I actually like Pauly Shore. I was being serious.
Well, I don't know. And once he got to like Jury Duty or whatever it was, and in the Army Now, it became a little goofy. But his first 3 films I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much of a career you can make on the, what's up, buddy? We the jet. That gets old quick.
Well,
that dude was lucky though. His mom operated the comedy store.
Yeah,
in LA,
exactly.
So that's where he hung out when he was a kid, and he grew up around that shit. He just had a stage to go ahead and perform on. So, hey, I'm not going to hate on him for it. I would have done it too.
Look how far Adam Sandler got though with doing his.
He's still getting. He just signed a new deal with Netflix.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Again, another guy whose first 5 movies or so were good, and then
he got rich and bored and whatever.
I don't know.
The main thing he got is lazy.
I think Adam Sandler is like a guilty pleasure, because like if I literally can't find anything else on TV and I have to pick up, I don't know, like Grown Ups or something, I can watch that movie and there's a couple like laughs to be had. Again, definitely not the best thing
I watched
I've ever
that
seen,
recently, actually, just to I don't know, fresh take. I don't know what I was putting myself through. I forgot all about their weird thing. This running gag where you like sneeze and fart at the same time. Oh yeah. Like they end the movie on it because that's like that's the very last thing you hear and stuff. He's like even triumphantly doing it. It's like, well, I guess that's appropriate for what we just saw.
It's
my
the
3
cap.
favorites will always be Happy Gilmore, Waterboy, and Little Nicky.
Wow, Little Nicky's on that list.
Oh yeah.
Little Nicky.
I like Little Nicky too.
No. That was just around the part of
Harvey Korman.
For me, Little Nicky was a big turning point. It was when he was really starting to slide.
Ozzy and Just so many good cameos in that, and I like Dante and the little side characters. They crack me up.
I like Billy Madison too.
Yeah.
I would put Airheads on there.
Well,
yeah.
that wasn't
Oh,
necessarily
yeah.
Yeah, I like
a
Airheads.
vehicle for him, but yeah,
Yeah,
You Steve
he's not the
Buscemi.
main guy, but he's in there.
Brendan
Let's
Fraser.
turn this show into an Adam Sandler retrospective.
He's
Uh,
easily one of our most talked about figures on here.
let's just
Also,
we'll move Bill Murray to next week. Let's just talk about Sandler.
Bumping Murray for Sandler. He could sue us for that, couldn't he? I think he's got legal grounds.
I think he could. Yeah.
It's an interesting juxtaposition because it's like, you have two guys who really got their main start on SNL and have had pretty prolific film careers, both of which are still going.
Mhm.
And wow, how the paths have diverged.
Yeah.
Because like Mike was just saying, like he's got maybe 5 good movies, and that's kind of it. And he did some, he did like Punch Drunk Love, which
Yeah.
I think there's a fan base out there that thinks that movie's all right. I don't mind
Not
it.
me.
I like it.
Well,
Yeah.
I loathe it. I know that's what's expected of me, but I absolutely loathe that film. Everything about it.
again, I actually,
Yeah.
I completely agree with you on that. I think it's a little melodramatic.
How about Spanglish?
I'd rather watch Spanglish than that, and I don't like Spanglish.
I don't mind Rain on Me.
Rain Over Me or whatever. Yeah, I mean,
Or whatever it is. Yeah.
it's one of the few movies I walked out of. I walked out of that movie in the theater.
I think that was R. Kelly's version.
They're just trying to smash us over the head, being depressing.
Mike,
That's the one I saw.
Hold on,
Like
You're
he
talking
waxed,
that
and
line,
they
Mike.
Mike, I'm already getting
No
fined
words
for
were
my
used.
F-bomb earlier.
No words were used. I can't help it if I can paint a hell of a picture in your brain.
So
they
I
kept
must
calling
have,
Shadow of the Colossus Shadows of the Colossus. I don't know why, but everybody in the movie said it wrong.
so that's why I saw the
Really?
R. Kelly version. That's why.
You did.
That's why he was peeing on Adam Sandler's face. That's why.
I didn't even go there.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Rainer.
That's why I didn't walk
I got
out.
really insulted by that. I felt like
And we
tipping
haven't
head
had a
at
good
that
rape
point.
story on this show since James left.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, if he didn't want to be told, he should not have been pissing on people, or whatever the hell he was doing.
R. Kelly, yeah.
Yeah.
R. Kelly, who once famously, in the middle of all that, he's walking, I don't know, to or from the courthouse or something like that, and surrounded by his entourage and stuff. And, the reporters are swarming him, and they're asking him all sorts of questions, and he's ignoring them as he's supposed to. And one of the reporters just says something like, "Are you a pedophile?" and stuff like that. And of course, R. Kelly's completely in his rights to not answer this, and all of his lawyers would probably want him to not answer this. R. Kelly decides to answer the question, and he starts off well, because he says no. But then he keeps going. And he says, his words, I'm paraphrasing slightly, but what he says is, "Why would I bleep kids? Kids are too small. That's too small for me to bleep," or something like that. And I just don't think that's a very good defense if you're trying to say that you're not a pedophile or something like that by saying, well, you wouldn't waste your time because they're too small.
It doesn't say
But,
the desire's not there. It just says it's
yeah,
physically impossible.
Yeah,
So he
well,
says, stop it now.
he's just saying no. It's inconvenient.
So if they were taller, it'd be okay.
Like that.
Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know.
man.
It doesn't make sense. Small means convenience to me. It's easier to transport and whatever. Going down dark
Easier
path
to-
again, sorry.
Yes, this is going down a dark road already.
Easier to subdue, easier to keep in a closet, easier to keep in the trunk of a car.
Yeah, exactly.
I just
yeah.
made an obscure reference. I didn't start all this. I can't take credit for it.
I can't help it. It's like my favorite thing about R. Kelly is his response to that. Like he's such an idiot.
Oh God.
Our attempts to keep it PG have failed.
Yeah, this show will be immediately deleted
Come
by
on, it's PG-13 at worst.
Nah, I'm just
Yeah,
thinking
considering what they show on
Chappelle
TV.
show sketch.
Oh goodness. Let's go ahead and dive into the topic at hand. Everybody out there watching, if you want to share with us your favorite,
For the record,
Bill
I did say
Murray.
bleep.
you did, and thank you for that. To share with us your favorite Bill Murray movies, leave those in the live chat, or you can tweet them at us at TSF Nation. So let's go ahead and dive into the topic at hand, and let's talk about the best of Bill Murray. Mike, why don't you get us started off? What are some of your favorite
man.
Bill Murray movies?
I don't want to hog it up because there's many. Bill is definitely a favorite of mine.
Well, before we launch into our individual favorite Bill Murray movies, let's talk about why he is such a unique talent. Not just a comedic talent, but just a talent overall. A very good actor.
The first thing I ever saw him in was Saturday Night Live when he was Chevy Chase's replacement. Uh, the skits with Gilda Radner's, the Loopers. There's so many characters he did on Saturday Night Live. It was he was the guy to me. He was sarcastic and sardonic, but yet charismatic at the same time. He was the kind of guy you want to hang out with because he was the life of the party. Whenever there's something happens, you'd look to him to say something funny about it, and he'd always have 10 or 15 things off the top of his head. But for me, he wasn't the most attractive guy. He didn't have the best hairline. He was kind of dumpy sometimes. But he could be the leading guy just because of his sense of humor. He could walk into a room and take it over with just saying something, and that was very inspirational to me. And one of the things that attracted me to his films and his projects.
Yeah, charisma, definitely. He was like the most charismatic guy in the room. He just had that presence about him.
And his word usage, he just automatically knew what to say. Because a lot of times in his films, there's a lot of stories about they just let him improv. They'll give him like an idea of what the scene's about, like in Meatballs when he gives the "it just doesn't matter" speech. There's like, okay, Bill's going to say something, you guys just react to it. And he comes in, nobody knows what he's going to do, and he just launches into the tirade of "it just doesn't matter." That kind of filmmaking has irritated some of his co-stars later on down the line when he started being in films with bigger names. But I think that's what it was with him. He was very smart in word selection and knew how to work an audience.
Wait, did Bill Murray die? We're kind of talking about him in the past tense.
Yeah.
He's still alive,
The
right?
latter part of
missed
his
something?
for me, the latter part of his career does not contain enough of that.
Ah, okay.
Fair enough.
He had a very he has, let me be clear, has a very expressive face and very expressive eyes where you feel like you can understand where he's coming from just from the look on his face or the look in his eyes. And he can be fun. A lot of people talk about, Belushi could just look at you and be funny. He could be funny without doing anything, just the look on his face.
Yeah.
I always got that from Murray more so than Belushi, but I mean,
Me too, actually.
I was more into Murray than Belushi.
As big of a Belushi fan as I was, I can't imagine him in Ghostbusters.
Right.
Murray stole that movie.
I mean, yeah, you can. It's what Melissa McCarthy tried to do. It's like, I'll just be the physical, comedy in this movie where I get hit a lot and fall down a lot.
Oh, God,
I mean, it would have been better, obviously Belushi than her, but that's what they would have had to do, right? If Jim Belushi was not Jim, sorry. Forget I ever said Jim. If John Belushi was one of the Ghostbusters, that's the part they would have wrote for him. He would always be getting like knocked downstairs and crashing into things and that kind of thing. But yeah, what I like about Bill Murray, it ties into that and stuff, is like you guys said, sardonic and understated sense of humor and stuff, but also was like, well, he could do that thing like you said, brought up in Meatballs, Run the Charade. It was like he's like kind of like almost the opposite of somebody like Robin Williams, who was so high energy. He was low energy most of the time, but he knew how to pack the right things into it. He didn't have to say a lot or necessarily do a lot to get the laughs. He didn't have to rant and rave or get in a million references or go really fast. He had sort of a slow, deliberate pace and a deadpan that I thought was that he still has, of course, that I admire a lot, that I like a lot. And it's more, like I like a lot of those high energy comics. Like I like Jim Carrey, stuff like that. But if I had to pick what I prefer the way Murray does it, and it's more suited for him. The way that
Murray
he
was the guy that
sort
would
of
say
deadpan.
things that you were thinking but were afraid to say. If something was stupid or ridiculous, he would be the one that'd sit in the back and point it out. Like in Stripes when he's taunting the sergeant, or just in any situation, he would be the guy that would point out the ridiculousness of the situation in a way that you wish you could. He just had those kind
I
of...
also think that in a sea of people that are very creative and unique in their own right, he's still very unique in like the way he views the world and the way he's able to extrapolate humor from certain situations with his observations and his reactions. I think they're a lot different than, if you compare other comedians of that era. None of them really have the same sort of sensibilities that he did. I mean, that's a good thing, but it's variety. But I just mean a few of them. I think I could probably just in general ways. I don't mean like saying they're exactly the same, but there's a few comedians like from around then that I could sort of lump together in kind of a group because of the way they do things. And I always thought Murray could have stood on his own.
Again, with the improv, Caddyshack, the famous where he's hitting the flowers with it, and he's doing the story. That was just another thing. They said, "Hey, we need you to do something." They said, "All right, give me several rows of these flowers, and hit record." And he said he went a half an hour with that. He just kept doing variations on it. He did it for a half an hour, and they had to cut it down to fit it into the movie. I mean, he would just go until you told him to stop.
Even the scenes where he's like sitting and watching the old ladies play golf, he's like, "Mrs. Henderson, I'm watching you," like that stuff. Like it's in a lesser talent that would not be funny and it would just be weird, but like it's somehow endearing. This creepy greenscaper guy, like ogling old ladies, and that's the thing. It's like it's old ladies. He's not ogling like women. It's like grandmas playing golf.
And the scene where he smokes a joint with Chevy Chase's character is the only scene they ever did together in any film. They had a rivalry because of Saturday Night Live, but that was and it was Harold Ramis that did that. He's like, I've got these two guys. They have to have a scene together, so they wrote that just for those guys.
Well, wasn't that? I mean, that's pretty much the story of that whole movie, though, right? I know that scene specifically came about because of that, but if I'm not mistaken, and you can sort of see this happen in the movie, right? I'm not trying to make this about Caddyshack over Bill Murray, but I'm pretty sure that whole movie came about because they had Ted Knight, they had Bill Murray, they had Chevy Chase, they had all these great comedians and actors, and the movie they had written was like all about Danny the caddy. And they were kind of like, hold on a second, like we let's fix this, and that's why by the end of the movie it's all about Ted Knight and Rodney Dangerfield and Chevy Chase and Danny's there, but again, a better movie came out of that. But yeah, that scene, as I understand it, isn't that scene too? I thought that was improvised. I thought they both sent them both in there and was like, here's the situation, just go, and they both kind of improv.
That's usually how they did it. Yeah, they just set up. Well, let's have it in the garage. Let's have here's the go.
Yeah.
I guess Ted Knight got kind of upset about it because he was more of a let's be prepared for the scene, and everybody's improvising around him, and I guess that kind of irritated the crap out of him. But
and Mike, you mentioned it earlier. I mean, he was he stepped into the spot that Chevy Chase left when he departed Saturday Night Live, and he was like the star of Saturday Night Live at that point. So he was stepping into some really big shoes, and if he didn't deliver, I mean, we wouldn't be talking about him now. I mean, that was the launching pad for his career. And
and I look like he didn't try. I mean, obviously, I'm too young. I wasn't there when it was happening. But I mean, looking back, he didn't try to be Chevy Chase either. Nope. He was just, completely. It's like they filled the slot with a completely different person doing a completely different style and stuff, and it just really worked and stuff. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't on Saturday Night Live particularly long, but it just means so much of the stuff he did is memorable.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, and most of it's very understated. And if you picture somebody else doing it, it's probably wouldn't land and stuff like where he's singing Star Wars, like Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars, hey, Star Wars. Like, I don't know if I go and do that, that's not funny. And people are like, okay, yeah, sure, but he did it funny.
Well, it's because of that skit and that scene that I often turn songs into show tunes in the house. I finally remember that character. And just when I'm bored and goofing off to myself, I will do that, and that's hilarious.
Well, he's led a very interesting life too, because he's not somebody who's been in the public spotlight. He's somebody who turns down a lot of roles for whatever reason. He's almost
impossible to get a hold of. If you want him for your movie, he's almost impossible to reach. Yeah. Like, can you imagine that?
It's like you leave him a voicemail and he may call you back or not.
Yeah.
Well, he was on Howard Stern years ago, and Stern was picking his brain about, why are you so difficult to track down, and why, I've heard so many people say they tried to get you for this movie and that movie, and either you turned them down or you just never called them back, and huge movies.
Yeah.
And one of if you hear Aykroyd say it, I mean, there should have been 5 Ghostbusters movies. The reason why there wasn't was because Murray didn't want to do them. And Yeah, I mean, I don't. He's not someone who like you see in the tabloids. He's not somebody that you see like on TMZ. Like I saw him somebody posted pictures of him at like some kind of party. Like he just showed up there, like college kids had thrown a party, and like here's Bill Murray just there to hold a drink. Like hi, just like Murray just showed up to the party.
Or he appeared at someone's like engagement or something, and he's just there.
Yeah, weird stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Hanging out at a Cubs game.
Yeah, a lifelong Cubs fan. Just an interesting guy.
He doesn't come on like some of the comedians that are out now, and we've talked about a few things here, like about his ability to improv, and Cole really hit something on the nose when he brought up Robin Williams, because as I was thinking about this topic, that's what occurred to me. Is I was trying to think like who's like Bill Murray, or who might be comparable to Bill Murray in terms of that like explosive comedy kind of a thing. And I kept thinking of Robin Williams. Amy Schumer, exactly. I kept thinking of Robin Williams though, because I feel like part of what I think we like about Bill Murray is, you're right, he's got that like that little gleam in his eye, but we've seen him in roles too where he can really play this darkness, like this kind of depressive kind of figure. And so I think he has, and again, obviously Robin Williams had like some mental illness and stuff too that later came out, but like I sort of feel like they were playing with sort of the same source code, and Robin Williams just kind of like flamed out, whereas Bill Murray, again, to some of the points we've made, he's got a steadier approach. He doesn't go nuts with it, and I think that's why you find, at least again, to Mike's point, some of his more recent films, the laughs haven't been as frequent as they were earlier in his career.
But really, it's not the Bill Murray I grew up with. So if I don't enjoy those films as much as some of you guys do, it's not that they're bad films. I watched one last night. We'll talk. I'm sure we'll get to it. Yeah. But it was depressing to see him like that.
You're completely right though, in that his more recent movie. Again, it's not like I saw Stripes in theaters, but you're right that Stripes and St. Vincent are two completely different movies, and the Bill Murray you see in Stripes versus that movie is a very different person. But what I'm saying though is, like, I actually, even though they're different, and again, you don't laugh as much, I actually kind of enjoy his more recent performances. Like the movie where he played FDR, I guess it was like an HBO movie, but it's like on Blu-ray and stuff. I thought that was a fantastic movie, and he kind of disappeared into the role. And it's, it seems weird to say that because it's like, it's Bill Murray. How do you lose Bill Murray in a role? But he played it really, really well. I mean, it's a testament to his acting.
He played Hunter Thompson really well in one of his first ever starring roles, which a lot of people seem to forget. Like,
Where the Buffalo Roam.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like most people. I love the Fear and Loathing movie. I think it's great, and I give all sorts of credit to Johnny Depp, but he's not the first guy to do it. And Bill Murray did at least a comparably well. Buffalo Roam still has its problems, but I mean, when you think about this guy that had done Meatballs and that was about it, and some Saturday Night Live, and he steps into this real life role and stuff. I mean, he's great for that. But I don't know. To that point, I'm glad we're doing a show about him because
it's about 3 books.
Because he's not just a comedian to me; he is an actor. If I did like my top 5 actors, he's in there. So I really like Bill Murray, the actor. So I can understand like seeing him in one way, like his comedic identity and stuff like that. But I mean, I like that he's evolved and changed, and I think he can still be funny. And yeah, for the most part, I really like his career trajectory, although it gets a little muddy in parts of the 90s. But
there's a early 2000s.
There's a documentary on the Criterion Blu-ray or DVD for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, where Hunter Thompson was running for sheriff of whatever town in Colorado that he lived in years and years ago. This was around the time where the Buffalo Roam happened. And Bill Murray and his brother had formed a 2-man rally for Hunter Thompson in a parking lot. An impromptu 2-man rally for Hunter Thompson in a parking lot. And it's funny because it's Murray being Murray, and he's got like a Hunter Thompson hat on, and he's like doing a speech, but there's nobody there to talk to give the speech to, and it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Plus, that's the other thing. Like, it was an interesting way to cast too, because you can think if they got, I just don't think in 1980 there were necessarily all that many actors that would even know who Hunter Thompson was. Bill Murray absolutely knew who who Hunter Thompson was, and had been a fan of him, before their paths ever really crossed and stuff. So, this is another thing I like about him. Like, it's not like he had to be taught all this stuff. It's like, okay, you're doing this role of this writer, and he's eccentric, and you're going to meet him. He'd be like, oh, I know him,
And I actually like Where the Buffalo Roam more than I like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas because I just felt like Johnny Depp's version was too literal. And I like the abstract nature of Where the Buffalo. They're both good films, but I don't know. I like the original better.
I think Bill Murray can play that stuff. I think Bill Murray is actually very intelligent, but he doesn't come off that way. I mean, that's basically, a lot of the characters he plays are essentially that. This guy who he seems like lazy, uninterested, dumb, but he really, there's, Bill Murray himself, I think, is very intelligent, but it's not like he walks around like a know-it-all. I mean, there's some comedians out there that's their whole shtick, that they know everything, they're super smart, and you're dumb, and he's never played it that way, and so that's why I think he's able to pull off so many different dynamic performances, because he can kind of raise and lower the bar as he needs to. He doesn't always have to appear at one level. Again, that's just, I think that's why he's been so successful across different genres and different, types of movies.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, his comedic style is so unique. I mean, there's only really two comics working today that I would even compare to Murray, and that's Dane Cook and Amy Schumer.
Two great choices, Piz.
Yeah, I mean, just brilliant comedians. Brilliant comedians.
I think the only person I can seriously compare him to might be Steve Martin, but just in their sort of multifaceted ways. But I always think that Bill Murray has sort of a better sense of self-awareness than Steve Martin does.
And even when he goes dark, it's not schlocky.
That Steve Martin is kind of, he plays it up because I think he kind of does have sort of a high opinion of himself. He's just like, I'm really smart. Okay, I'll play down dumb, but you guys all know that I'm smart. Whereas Bill Murray's just whatever. Which
right.
Which is why it's so much more believable. This isn't a great movie or anything, but Bill Murray plays a complete oblivious idiot in The Man Who Knew Too Little. I actually think that movie's okay, and the main reason is because Bill Murray is the one guy that can pull it off. It would just sort of be really insulting and crappy if it was Jim Carrey or something like that.
I've been really trying to hold back bringing up Ghostbusters too much, because honestly I feel like I could make this whole thing about Ghostbusters, so I'm going to self-censor to some extent. But just to that point, that movie, the first movie, rests on his shoulders. And the interesting thing about it is I think almost in any other movie he would be the funny guy. Because, he's kind of the aloof one. He's cracking jokes and he's kind of pointing out how silly some of the things are. But, after seeing that movie 5 billion times, I sort of realize Bill Murray is the audience. Bill Murray is Bill Murray is the straight man in that movie. Because when you compare him to Harold Ramis and to Dan Aykroyd, those characters are so cerebral and kind of weird. I mean, again, I think you can make.
And they're kind of manic and stuff.
Yes.
And they're high, and they're high energy, and they're freaking out over stuff. And and Bill Murray's just sort of quietly taking it in, he's observing it all. He's in on it, but he's kind of not either. It's just sort of stuff just happens around him, and he reacts to it.
Exactly. It's kind of you envision a scenario where Egon and Ray told Peter all of the things that he needed to know about proton packs and ghosts, but when they're interviewing Dana, he has no idea. His entire goal is to just go on a date with this chick, so he's making things up and trying to get them to feed him information, and that entire scene works because of Bill Murray. Again, the whole movie.
His introduction is one of the best introductions I've ever seen to a character, comedic or otherwise. Just the first time you get to see him, is awesome when he's doing the interview thing.
Yes, he's concocted a research study, all for the purposes of getting to have sex with this chick, and so he's literally just electrocuting this guy, all for the purposes of making this girl think that she's psychic, and and then the other dude that plays off him, who, by the way, that guy, I don't know if that guy was in other movies. I actually thought he was really funny, but that whole scene works because of him.
I just think that's a great introductory scene. It tells you right away what the character's like. It makes a great contrast with what the other scientists are and stuff. And I just love it. I mean, I love the whole movie. I think most of us agree it's an almost perfect movie in a lot of ways. But yeah.
Yeah.
That opening scene, and again, I don't want to get off of Bill Murray, but that opening scene to me exemplifies why I like a lot of 80s movies, because there's such an economy in storytelling and show don't tell. And that scene is like you're saying, Cole, like that scene tells you everything you need to know about the Peter Venkman character. To introduce you to him, this is a guy that's gonna to mac on girls. He's gonna set up fake research studies and electrocute dudes and convince them they're psychic. Like you get everything you need to know about him in 2 minutes.
His sparring with Walter Peck.
And I just like that he these guys are like his friends, and they're his best friends, and he cares about them and stuff, and he is into the same things they're into, but at this whole time he's just so quietly amused by everything they do and their enthusiasm and their reactions and stuff, which is just so great.
It's like, even though he's seen the ghosts by the middle of the movie, it's like he still doesn't even really fully buy what they're doing. He's kind of just doing it because they're making money, and it's the next
TV.
thing.
Which again is another I know this is too easy to do, and we can't spend the whole show doing it, even though it's kind of a crowd pleaser. But to point out things they did wrong with the recent one is that they just didn't have it. I guess it's good that they didn't just try to base the 4 characters off the 4 characters. They tried to make 4 new characters, which I appreciate. But all 4 of them just basically are kind of doing the same thing, and there isn't anybody even close to a Bill Murray in there. It's just sort of. Their 4 characters are all the comedic relief, all at the same time, in slightly different ways, and there isn't really the balance that you're getting in the original movie with those characters.
They're all trying to be Bill Murray. Nobody is Harold Ramis has some of the funniest lines, and he says it with a perfectly straight face.
Yeah.
When he tells Janine, I collect spores, molds, and fungus. That's hilarious. Yeah. She's trying to hit on him, and he's just so oblivious to what she's doing.
Well, he's so nerdy, he doesn't realize he's a nerd.
Right.
But Bill Murray's smart, but he can see the nerdiness, so that's why he's always kind of messing with them.
Right, but you're right. In the new movie, everybody's trying to be funny. It's like none of the actresses wanted to bite the bullet and be the straight man.
Yeah, and you can be a funny straight man, as it seemed, but yeah, everybody in that movie had to have some sort of goofy quirk type thing, and that thing was awful. But you can see why it wouldn't work as well.
I haven't seen it, but I definitely, from what I saw of the African American character in the new one, there was less respect paid to the minority character than there was in the original. Winston Steadmore was, a regular stand-up guy looking for a job. He was all in. He was kind of the everyman role, looking at all this crazy stuff. But I thought they handled that character with much more respect in the original than from what I've seen.
I feel like Winston's just a guy. He happens to be a black guy, but he's just a guy.
There's a paycheck in it.
He needed a job, and he's working with them.
That'll turn you white.
And Winston's who everybody can relate to, I think.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Well, Jetty Stingray's joined us. What's going on, Stingray?
What's up, guys? Sorry I'm late. I'm a little scatterbrained here, but very happy to be here tonight.
What are we drinking tonight, Jay?
This is great value. I know that for a fact. Breakfast blend, I think.
Nice.
And Cameron hopped right along too. How's it going, Cameron?
Yeah, I figured I'd hitch a ride in with Jay if that's all right. So
nice. Well, let me tell you guys the same thing I told everybody else when we started. Because of YouTube's stringent new guidelines, no 4-letter words, no suggestive.
Thank you. Good night.
Nothing suggestive. No prison rape stories. This episode is ushering in the PG era of the Sausage Factory.
I'm shocking myself. I've made it this far.
Are you serious? I mean, is this a joke or?
Does it look like? Do you see my face? Does it look like?
Okay, I'm just okay.
I'm doing my Bill Murray here.
We've already talked a little about R. Kelly, Jay, so I think we're okay.
We're losing subscribers as we speak though.
But
we were talking about R. Kelly.
But words like
pissing,
dookie
so
butter. For those words.
Yeah,
I say dookie butter.
It was
Is
raining
that
on
okay?
people earlier, so we're good.
Anyway, yes, we really just kicked things off talking about some of the things that make Bill Murray such a unique talent, and let's go ahead and let's dive into our personal favorite Bill Murray movies. If you guys want to do like your top 2 or 3, and then we'll move on and we'll come back to you if there's any that we didn't touch on like we normally do. We'll do it that way. But Mike, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
All right, let's see here. Well, I was a fan early in his career, as I said earlier. Let's see, Meatballs, of course, was the one that really started out. Caddyshack and Stripes, those three were three home runs for me in the Bill Murray catalog, and kind of got me used to his sense of humor, and that endeared him to me. So when we get later in his career, that's why I'm less enthusiastic about some of those films. But yeah, Caddyshack is Carl. We talked about the improv scene where he's golfing the flowers, and I don't know if there's really anything else you could say about that movie. Stripes for me was a huge one. I saw that in the theater. I do agree that the third act kind of goes a little wonky, but with Warren Oates and John Candy, and with the cast of that film, they really save it. And the first half is just quotable.
If you see
It's like, are you homosexual?
Special.
No, but we're willing to learn. Lady, I don't want to take your luggage to, and I know I don't want to take you to the airport. I've been reading books on the side just to keep up with you. There's just the monks don't get wildly fucked by teenage girls. I mean, there's just so many lines going through the movie that it's a classic.
When
John
he's-
Larroquette, with his improv scene, watching the girls shower and different things, and the movie's a classic. Some people may not like it, but it's one of my favorite Bill Murray movies, Stripes.
The extended cut makes the first act go on for an eternity, though. But yeah, I like that movie a lot.
The scene they cut out where Harold Ramis takes a bunch of LSD and then they go to the jungle.
Yeah.
They cut that out. It's definitely a funny sequence. I've got the DVD with the extended cut on it.
Right.
It does kind of mess the flow of the movie up a little bit, but it's definitely worth watching.
When they're getting to know everybody in the barracks, and Bill Murray's like, Lee Harvey, you are a madman.
Party with you, man.
that thing with the cow. I was probably with you, man.
And all that stuff was improvised. Even John Candy's swallow a lot of pizzas. Bill Murray with the big Sarge with the big toe, and Warren Oates with I'm gonna see how far I can shove it up your ass. So all that stuff was just improvised. Yeah. I think during the previews or the trailers, they really made a lot of the little song and dance they did at graduation. And that to me was well choreographed, and to make it look like they didn't know what they were doing but still doing it. Judge Reinhold, I'm sorry, but Stripes is definitely. If it's not it's right there with Ghostbusters, really, for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, especially, I mean, when the original idea was Ivan Reitman, there was going to be Cheech and Chong in the army.
Yeah.
And then Cheech and Chong didn't do it, so then they turned into Bill Murray and Harold Ramis, and
they gave Judge Reinhold all the drug humor.
Yeah.
I feel bad. Every time I watch that movie, I always feel bad for the pizza that he comes home with. At the beginning with his girlfriend, like that pizza doesn't get like run over, and like it's just like
the dress gets ruined.
Yeah, it's just the most flimsy pizza you've ever seen in a movie. But it just, I don't know. 1981 looks like a long time ago when you watch that movie, though. It seems like a
yeah. It feels very
PJ Souls, the Aunt Jemima treatment, another thing that was improv. That movie to me is just full of so many classic Bill Murray moments. And no matter what you think of the scripting or the story or the third act, to me it's classic Bill Murray. The next three that live up to that, I think, are Ghostbusters, Scrooged, and Groundhog Day.
Mm-hmm.
Those 6 films are my favorite all-time Bill Murray films.
I love Scrooge, where the whole opening with the commercial.
Yeah, Lee Majors.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like, you have a promo with this old fart talking in the fireplace. I have to now kill all of you.
That's still like, that's like still like.
I can't get the antlers to stick to his head. Did you try Staples?
He's like the best like send up I've seen of that whole like '80s executive jerk. That's like go buy money. Like he's still like the best one, and that's like in the '80s. That's not even with hindsight. That's like while it was going on and stuff. I just love it. It's like this '80s guy just totally trying to climb to the top and everybody else sucks and everything, and this weird shock value and stuff like that. And he's just like, I want people to be terrified. They have to know that they have to see this, that their lives depend on
that
it.
hardcore promo.
And the weird thing
Like,
about
we have
that
to
movie,
stop the choreography. It's here. It's like we can see her nipples. I want to see her nipples.
and that's a Richard Donner movie that he made between Lethal Weapon 1 and 2. Like he did Scrooged in between those two movies.
And Bill Murray was not happy on that set. He performed in that movie in protest, and it still turned out that good.
Professional then, because especially considering the way the movie ends, and he's all goofy, happy, singing and dancing and telling the people in the theater to clap along.
Yeah.
That was the movie. I think he had all of his brothers in that movie.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yep.
Yeah.
Was it ever found out why he had such a hard time?
Yeah, Richard Donner made him scream every line in the movie, and he didn't like that. So
I understand that, but at the same time, like we'll talk about it. We talked about it before. We'll talk about it again. It's like just how good he is at delivering lines and stuff in a way that other people couldn't. My favorite line in that movie is something he screamed where they're telling him something and he goes, "I care." That's all he's saying, but in the context, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Scrooge is definitely one on my list. That and Ghostbusters are like, the Murray movies that I grew up with. So I mean.
Yeah, I guess the holy trilogy for me would be Stripes, Ghostbusters, and Scrooged.
Yeah.
Those are my favorites.
Yeah. Well, if there's any more on your list, Mike, we'll come back around. We'll come back around to you, or if anybody else names them, feel free to inject your own thoughts. Let's see. Who can we have go next? What about you, Eric? What do you got for us, man?
I got some duplicates, but I think my holy trinity would be Stripes, Ghostbusters, and Caddyshack. Okay. Those would be my big ones. And obviously Caddyshack, he plays a big, his role is entirely improvised in that movie, and it's an ensemble movie. But then again, so is Stripes, so it counts.
I just didn't count him as really the lead in Caddyshack. Otherwise, I would agree with you.
Completely agree. But to me, his role was significant enough, and he was in it enough that I still think it qualifies, and it just has that sensibility that Stripes does, and those other movies, and also just that's such an iconic role for him. So those would probably be my three, and we talked a lot about Ghostbusters. First of all, just my generation, there are some age gaps here among the Sausage Factory crew, and I just got to say, where I fall on the spectrum, my VHS copy of Ghostbusters, I'm surprised it still worked. Honestly, I watched that movie every single day, sometimes multiple times. So I that movie, it's one of those things where as you grow up, you learn, and again, this is a testament to Bill Murray. You learn there's all this adult humor in the movie that you missed, the scene where Dana Barrett is possessed by Zool, and she says, "I want you inside of me," and he goes, "Okay, go ahead." No, wait, sounds like you got at least 2 people in there already. And again, as a kid, I had no idea what was going on, but I remember being I don't know. I think I was in my 20s or something, and I just was really paying attention. And I was like, "Oh, ha!" That's
somewhat related to that. I mean, I love the movie, and I'm not saying the movie has any flaws, but what is up with the scene where Ray gets blown by a ghost? I mean,
that's a different story.
Yeah.
Well, PG was edgier back then.
Yeah. You get to see Ray's pants come off and his eyes roll back in his head.
That's another scene. As a kid, I had no idea what that was. It was just kind of what? Oh, that's goofy. Okay, whatever.
The ghost is doing something.
Yeah, Lifetime made an entire show about that. I banged a ghost or something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think those are my 3, and so it duplicates 2 of Mike's, but I count Caddyshack just because while he's not one of the primary 4 players, he's his role, he's oozing throughout that entire movie. He eats the chocolate bar in the pool after he's cleaning it out.
Baby Ruth,
it's okay. He just eats it. I don't know. Like he's got just so many iconic things in that movie. It's hard to not count it.
I can't like go into a swimming pool or like see a Baby Ruth or anything without thinking about that scene.
Yeah,
You know, it's so great.
Well, what's incredible is that like he did Meatballs and Stripes with Ivan Reitman, and then obviously Harold Ramis was in there. But then Harold Ramis directed him in Caddyshack, so all of those things came together to form Ghostbusters. Like there would be no Ghostbusters without all those movies building up to it.
Yeah, and as I was thinking about this topic too, because one of the things I think we like about Bill Murray is his capacity for improv, but like I find myself like juxtaposing that with like the way that movies have quote unquote improv now, and it's not even comparable. Because like you watch like the special features, like the added scenes from like whatever 3-hour Judd Apatow movie there is, and like their version of improving is just to like do rapid fire different versions of lines. It's not the same thing. Like Bill Murray would again, his whole role in Caddyshack, there's really nothing written for him. It's just kind of, go over there and do something. And he made it funny. Like, these guys had like a sheet of lines that they would just, rapid fire, and that's how they do it. He's a singular talent for sure.
Well, Quentin Tarantino always says that if you give an actor room to improv, all they do is start throwing 4-letter word expletives everywhere. Right. Whereas Bill Murray can improvise in a PG movie, an R-rated movie, whenever, and tailor that to not only just be a funny line, but a funny line his character would say.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly the difference,
right.
though, right? Because the whole point of him improving is that he improved the character. He didn't just they didn't write a character and then hear tryouts in different lines. If you understand the character, as Bill Murray did in so many times, he just knew what lines to use. Right. He understood the character. It's not like, okay, we have this character, but he could say A, B, C, D. Let's try them all and see what works.
Right.
It's a different thing.
Yeah, he was I don't know. He didn't really go blue a lot. He was able to wink, wink, nudge, nudge it. You knew what he was talking about without having to say it a lot of times.
And then the few times when he does go blue, because actually doesn't he, I'm trying to remember, in Stripes, doesn't he tell the guy to, doesn't he say, well, sorry, we're under guidelines now, but doesn't he say bleep you to the drill instructor? I swear he does. And I always remember feeling like it almost seems like, wow, Bill Murray just said the F word, It's kind of, when he does it, it's somehow more it's more impactful because Bill Murray typically isn't cursing like that.
Right. It's not like Eddie Murphy saying it.
Right. Right.
Could you imagine Bill Murray raw? I'm talking in like the skin tight red leather outfit, doing the.
It'll be 15 minutes long before he just leaves into.
I don't think he's ever done a comedy concert thing. Right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, well,
he's not a stand-up guy.
He did that Christmas.
Yeah, he's more of a. I thought he's more of like an improv
Second City kind of guy.
Yeah, that kind of guy.
Yeah,
but he did start getting into the 4-letter words later on in his career.
Yeah, and I think it works in some places for sure.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
So what were your top 3, Eric? Again?
Oh, sorry. So I had I'm going in chronological order now. So I think it's would that be Stripes, Caddyshack, and Ghostbusters?
Okay,
3 excellent choices.
Yeah, can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with any of those. What about you, Cameron? What's some of your favorite Bill Murray movies?
Okay, well, you guys have named like all the big ones, so I'm gonna hit the little ones here. These are movies that he's not the star in, but he did come in and steal the entire movie. Yeah. Let's talk about his role as the dentist patient in Little Shop of Horrors. He walks in and takes that movie away from Steve Martin in that scene. It's fantastic, where he's just wanting him to drill him harder and harder so he gets a candy bar. I mean, it's just so absurd, The other, I think of, I don't know if any of you guys have seen this, but I think of his character Bunny, the gay man who wants to turn into a woman, in Ed Wood. And I mean, he's absolutely hilarious. Where he's just like, "I am going to Mexico. Goodbye, penis."
Ed Wood's a great movie.
And I mean, there's lots of other ones too, but the one that just shocked the hell out of me is when he walked into Wild Things.
I was going to bring that up later, absolutely, because I forgot he was in that.
He plays this lawyer, and you can't even. I mean, it's like, why are you in Wild Things? And it's like, okay,
that's what I thought.
well, because John McNaughton directed him in Mad Dog and Glory years before, so that's where that came from. But still, though, you're in the middle of this like lesbian murder film noir, and then Bill Murray shows up, and he's perfect. You know, he works so well. You need that kind of thing with him. Ghostbusters, you know, of course, is great. I know Ghostbusters 2 gets a lot of flack, but I'm telling you,
not for me.
I think when you see Ghostbusters a million times, you want another adventure, and Ghostbusters 2 is not as great as the first one, but it's a serviceable next adventure movie.
I agree. I agree.
It's a little too safe.
A little
It's
flat
kind of
in
the same
comparison.
thing again, but
It is the same thing again, but his jokes, I mean, when you see him going, Valentine's Day, bummer. You know, when he's hosting that show at the beginning, that's hilarious. It's funny though, because I remember in 1984 when Ghostbusters came out, everyone was talking about it as, oh, it's Saturday Night Live meets The Exorcist. That's kind of a cute little thing, but the movie's so much better than that. But yeah, I mean, the thing is though, what's so interesting, and I'm not trying to knock any of the new comedies today, but when you see these comedies today and they just improv, and these movies are 2 hours and 20 minutes long, like Office Christmas Party or something like that. You
that's
look
2
at
hours. Wow.
Because I once asked someone about this in the industry, and they said it's because the actors are also producers and nobody wants their stuff cut, so you just get these movies that go on and on and on and on and on, and everyone thinks every line they say is hysterical. Whereas back in the 80s when Bill Murray was at his height, you know, they knew what to keep in and what to take out, and they also worked it out. So they weren't really improvising on the set a lot. They'd worked it out, and so they knew what to use and what not to use, and that's why those movies clock in at 1 hour and 40 minutes long, because they're it's just the way movies are supposed to be made. I mean, but I don't know. Anyway, so Bill Murray he has a talent that not many people can do, and I mean, he's somebody who walked in. I mean, Chevy Chase quit Saturday Night Live. Bill Murray took over the next year. Right, there was like all this hostility between those two. They almost fought on the set of Caddyshack. But Bill Murray is not the same person as Chevy Chase. You can totally see the differences between those two. Mm-hmm. I think both of them they're wonderful when they hit. But you have lots of comedians today who try to be that Bill Murray thing, and it's just like the closest you could ever get. And I know this is going to be blasphemy to some, but for me, was when I saw. Vince Vaughn in Dodgeball. That is a Bill Murray performance that would have hit in the 80s if Bill Murray had done that movie.
Could not have tried less in that movie, man.
I actually kind of agree with that. It's a Bill Murray type role. I don't know that he's as good as Bill Murray, but
no.
Bill Murray type role, and that he's kind of
no, but that
and everybody around him is more goofy, and he's.
If you can imagine Dodgeball coming out in 1985 when Bill Murray was in retirement mode.
Then it probably would have been awesome, yes.
Because he left after Ghostbusters, moved to Paris, came back to do Legal Eagles of all things for Ivan Reitman, and then saw the script and said no, and so it became Robert Redford and Deborah Winger.
Okay, so who's going to be the bad guy in the 1985 Dodgeball? Who's going to do the Ben Stiller?
Oh yeah.
Oh God, who could that be?
How about Martin Short? I'm telling you, that would work.
That's funny.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I think he's great in so many things. I mean, even when he freaking shows up in what's it, Osmosis Jones. I mean, he's like the best thing in that movie.
Wow, we're going deep tracks here with Bill Murray.
Deep cuts. Well, the thing is, though, is Bill Murray. One other thing I'll say before we move on is he's an incredibly loyal guy.
Yeah.
So if he
sometimes to his detriment.
Yeah. So if you cast him in Kingpin, he'll show up for any Farley Brother movie that they ask him to be in. He shows up in Rushmore, gets the best reviews of his career. He has been in every single Wes Anderson movie moving forward.
Unfortunately.
Kingpin's pretty underrated.
So anyway,
we'll get there.
Anyway,
well, Kingpin's a good movie to drop because as we were talking about how he can do low, he can do subtle, and he can do big. And it doesn't really matter. He's funny either way. Kingpin's an example of he's just big the whole time, and he's really funny. He makes that movie.
Yeah, no, that's definitely an underrated one for him, I think, for sure.
But he's also an actor who's not afraid to disappear and then come back. a lot of actors feel like they always have to be relevant, be on Twitters, say profound, funny things. He doesn't mind going away for 5 years and then coming back in a small supporting performance in a drama.
Well, and he can afford to do that because he's Bill Murray. You know what I mean?
But then he does this weird shit where he like disappears and then shows up at people's weddings and stuff.
We talked about that.
Okay.
I mean, wouldn't you do the same thing though if you were in that position? I would. If I was some sort of beloved, person like that, I'd love to just show up random places.
But I mean, it's like he's Bill Murray. You can get away with anything. I mean, it's like if someone drives drunk, they're crucified in the media. Bill Murray drives drunk on the golf course. In my town, we have the it used to be called the AT&T Pro-Am. I don't know what it's called now, but he comes every February right before Groundhog's Day, and he plays this major golf tournament in my town. And he, like, in the mid-'90s, this old lady like came up to him and said hi, and he like threw her into the sand pit, and the town was freaking out, and the world was just like, oh, that's just Bill.
Didn't he recently? I swear his son opened a bar or something in New York City, and like part of his promotion for the bar was he got like Bill Murray was the bartender for like opening night. So if you could get into this bar on opening night, like he was the bartender who was like making drinks and stuff.
Well, Bill Murray's earned the right to at least kill one person with impunity.
Sure. I mean, DWIs are funny, right, guys? And we've all established that.
Yeah. If Alec Baldwin can have underage sex in movies, I think Bill Murray can throw old ladies in sand traps. That's what I think.
There you go. Well, let's move on.
Segue out of that.
Yeah, let's segue out of that. Oh gosh, I don't even remember where we left off.
Throwing old ladies in sand traps, hard to.
Yeah, hard. That's a hard one to segue from. Cameron, what were your top three Murray roles?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Obviously Ghostbusters, Groundhog Day, and Bill Murray starring performances.
Or just any Murray performance.
Yeah.
Another reason why we didn't get another Ghostbusters was because of Groundhog Day. Because that was the movie where him and Harold Ramis stopped speaking.
Worth it.
Well, no one else.
I would say worth it.
No one else has mentioned it, but just in terms of pure insanity, I'm going to say, what about Bob?
Oh, I love that movie.
Okay.
Yeah. It's on Netflix right now. I almost put it on last night in anticipation.
I don't love that movie, but I can appreciate it again because it makes a good point about Murray in that, like, I literally can't think of another actor that could play that role that well. I just can't. Where it just wouldn't come across in a completely different way.
That's better than the movie I watched last night.
I think they're remaking What About Bob, by the way.
No,
like
shut
some
up.
kind of TV show.
Oh, man.
Yep, I just read it, and it's actually going to be like a female actress is playing the Murray role. I gotta, in fact, I'll check this out. I just saw this.
Female actress.
Is it Amy Schumer?
It's
No,
probably the blonde girl from
Is
Ghostbusters.
it
Amy
Amy
Schumer's
Schumer
way too
Slob?
good for TV now. It's movies all the way, I'm sure, for her.
When you first said that, I was hoping it would be Christopher Mintz-Platts. Oh, beloved.
What
I don't
about
know
Michael
that there's-
Cera? Where's he?
I don't think there's anyone attached to it, but yeah, it's a reboot as a comedy pilot at NBC, which sounds horrifying.
That
to me.
sounds
Everything
That works so well with Uncle Buck.
Who greenlights this garbage, man? Who is doing this? Like,
I don't
I
know.
know. It's always amazing to think of the stuff that gets turned down with like the
Kenny
stuff that
Tar,
they
man,
just-
can you please like talk to your people and get something going, man? Seriously.
use those connections.
Let's move on. Rambo. What are some of your favorite Bill Murray performances? Bill Murray movies.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of people already mentioned Ghostbusters, Scrooged, Stripes. So, What About Bob? I enjoy. So I wanted to think of some different ones that no one else would mention, just to be different. One I honestly enjoy because it's a kids film. I think it's a kids film done right. I like Larger Than Life.
Mm-hmm.
To me, if I think of a bad Bill Murray kids film, it's Garfield. So
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Larger Than Life was actually on my list.
I've
That movie
never
cracks
seen-
me up.
I've
That movie-
Matthew McConaughey is a redneck trucker, Tip Turker, whatever his name, Tip Turner, trucking.
Tip Tucker's Tip Top Trucking. Yeah.
A
when he gets
redneck-
out,
Yeah.
when he gets out with that crowbar,
Yeah.
and that kills me.
He's
That
so
cracks me up.
wily, and he's like,
Yeah, that cracks me up.
You always get that and Operation Dumbo Drop mixed up.
Yeah.
Drop has the elephant.
I mean, Bill Murray versus a redneck Matthew McConaughey. It's a win for me. And, and I mean, it deals with an elephant, but there's no fart jokes. There's no stupid jokes like that. It's a sincere kids film. I saw it when I was a kid, so I enjoyed it that fashion. But even today, I don't think it's an embarrassing film to watch. I think it's a film that a lot of people hate, but they don't really say why. It's like, yeah, it's about him and his elephant, but I thought it was actually a decent enough story, and there's some pretty funny stuff in it. Bill Murray didn't seem like he was phoning it in. It seemed like, okay, here's a job, and I thought, people were talking he didn't work well PG wise. That's an example of that. So I figured I didn't think anyone else would mention that, but I enjoy Larger Than Life. I think that's a bit of an underrated one from him.
The only role he ever had where I felt he phoned it in was the reboot Ghostbusters. Like, it felt like someone had a gun off set, was like making him do that.
And they did.
You will be William Atherton now, damn it.
There probably was.
It was a gun named Sue.
We're gonna shoot you and Dan Aykroyd. We're gonna buy like 1 billion bottles of your Crystal Skull vodka.
You know how you know that he was forced into that because when they went to promote it, I think it was on oh god, what was it? Was it Jimmy Fallon or something like that? They all were sitting there in the group, the old Ghostbusters and the girls, and Bill Murray didn't say one thing the whole time. Oh, what do you think of this new crew? Everybody else answered. Ernie Hudson was answering. Bill Murray said nothing the whole time. So he was the contractual obligation.
You got an autograph on that, Piz?
Got some Crystal Skull vodka right here, baby. Oh yeah.
Have you tried it?
Wow.
Oh yeah. Nope, I've not tried it. I've heard that it is the smoothest vodka
Oh,
ever. It's like triple filtered or something. I don't know. But pretty cool.
Don't piss off the Russian hackers.
I mean, with Bill Murray, I mean, again, people said, yes, Stripes. I do enjoy Stripes. I mean, a lot of lines of dialogue, I rarely wear underwear. And when I do, it's something special. Ghostbusters, yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Oh, yeah. Great line delivery. Another example of that.
Scrooged. What About Bob? I do enjoy. I'm sailing. Don't you see? I'm sailing. I mentioned Larger Than Life. Also, for a serious role, I did like Lost in Translation.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that film.
I skipped it.
I think I have fun with, even though he's in it for like a minute, I have fun with him in Space Jam. Even with a minute, I mean,
I like how he just crosses dimensions without any sort of explanation.
No
They show
explanation.
exactly how they had to get Michael Jordan, how they bring him here. Bill Murray just shows up.
He's just in the cartoon world.
Oh yeah.
but yeah, I mean, you guys took all the my favorite ones, but it's.
Yeah.
I think for his comedy, a lot of them, even I wouldn't call lesser ones, but I can pretty much watch all of them. Like, I liked St. Vincent, which is a new one he did. I thought it was kind of his version of Bad Santa, but not really. And I thought he did a really good job with that for a newer film. And I do enjoy Where the Buffalo Roam, because I had seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I enjoyed that. I had not known he had done that Bill Murray had done a role like that, and him and Peter Boyle I thought worked well together. And yeah, I thought he was great as Hunter S. Thompson. There's a scene where he's with Nixon in the bathroom. And, it's pretty much like a lot of people. I mean, I think. What are your guys' thoughts on The Razor's Edge? Because that was his first dramatic. That was like a passion project for him.
I've actually not seen it.
I don't
I
remember
skipped
it.
it.
I haven't seen it in 100 years.
Because during the 80s, I mean, he was doing all these comedies, but that was the one, like, I'll do Ghostbusters if you let me do this. And
Yeah, right.
That goes a long line of
I used to
comedic
get a lot of
actors that want to do something serious. I hate to be that guy, but that's not what I want from Bill Murray.
Oh, I'm going to be that guy here in a minute, buddy.
You guys can be that guy all you want.
And
Bill
again,
Murray
later
was the
in
main
his
guy that
career,
pulled it off.
more of that, more of that, and more of that, and more of that, and that's.
I mean,
I don't want to be that guy. He can do whatever he wants to do, but that doesn't mean I have to like it or have to watch it.
for me, it depends. I mean, I will be honest, I'm not a big Wes Anderson guy. Just not my cup of tea. But at the same time, I did like Lost in Translation. I liked St. Vincent. I thought that was a humor but drama. And I think Bill Murray himself is good. Maybe the movie itself is not like Broken Flowers wasn't my cup of tea, but I thought Bill Murray was good. Just Broken Flowers, I just didn't really get the point, or it flew over my head.
I mean,
But-
did anybody could stomach that entire Bill Murray Christmas special on Netflix?
I watched it start
I
to
didn't know
finish.
that-
I didn't mind it. I liked it.
I
It
didn't
was-
mind it.
was
I just
entertaining.
didn't really understand why certain
watched it.
actors played themselves and certain actors didn't, which just made
Yeah,
it confusing. Like
here-
I
here's
didn't
the
know
thing.
who was supposed to be who. But
Sophia
I'm
Coppola,
afraid.
Sophia Coppola directed that thing, and she just sucks the fun out of everything. I mean, she doesn't know how to direct comedy.
I watched that.
I wouldn't make her direct comedy, that's for sure. No.
I had some mustache wax. I was waxing my mustache, and I had a clove cigarette, and I loved it, man. It was awesome.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
You have a way with words, Jay.
Was it the Dejarum?
Yeah, sure.
It's the first
Gotta
time I've
grow that
heard
hair
of
out
this.
and get a man
stuff,
bun, dude.
Generally speaking, I agree with the sentiment about preferring comedic actors doing comedies versus dramas. In Bill Murray's case, I don't know, if he does a good dramatic role, I don't mind it. That's kind of the problem with Robin Williams. Robin Williams at one point just stopped doing comedy and kept trying to do these dramatic roles, and they were terrible.
I know. For me, it's I want Metallica to sound like Metallica and Slayer to sound like Slayer. You know, I want AC/DC. I don't want to go listen to an AC/DC record and they sound like Nickelback. No, no, I don't want that.
I actually
No
like
one wants
Nickelback.
that.
Over time, though, man.
I actually like
I can't-
Nickelback, I'll admit.
I can't have. I don't know. I can't have bands and actors always playing the same songs and doing the same things. I mean, you have to take risks. You have to do something. Yeah, I don't respect that. I mean, I can understand people to bring up the Metallica thing, being upset after Metallica changed their sound. But I mean, for God's sakes, what else were they supposed to do? I mean, I just can't understand being an artist and making the same stuff over and over again. So I don't know. But
But you have to understand that what made you popular, you have to dance with the ones that brought you.
yeah, and they
'cause
still
that's
play
what
the
people
old.
want.
They still play the old hits when people show up at the shows.
Because you
And
hear
as far
the old guys.
as far as the actors goes, those movies are there forever. They're not
it's
going
like
anywhere.
all these old bands that are out touring, they say, why don't you put out new music? And they're like, people don't want new music. They want to come hear us play the ones that they know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
It's
wouldn't
unfortunately kinda
do
true.
that. And I'll give them
But-
credit because I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, fuck these people. I'm gonna keep creating and expressing myself how I want to express it. If they don't appreciate it anymore, well, that's too bad. I'm glad they did at one point, and that's fine. But I just
there
mean,
have been bands
Broken
that have come.
Flowers doesn't cancel out Ghostbusters. It's
No, but if you like Ghostbusters, that doesn't mean you're going to be a fan of Broken Flowers. And it doesn't mean that you're an idiot.
If you're a
you
fan
don't
of
like
Bill Murray, it doesn't mean you're going to be a fan of Broken Flowers.
it. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Well,
It's just-
that's almost a good comparison because if you fell in love with Bill Murray's performances, odds are it was the comedies and the '80s stuff and the early '90s stuff you fell in love with. If you then walk in and you watch Broken Flowers or Lost in Translation or something,
or the
that's
movie I watched
not the
last
same
night.
thing.
Is it?
Which again, I don't mind. I actually think those are decent movies. But I get that. I get that argument. That
It
makes
doesn't
sense.
bother me that they have their audience. It just doesn't mean that I should feel obligated to be part of that audience. I don't know.
But you
Wait
should.
a second. Nobody's
You should.
making an argument.
Yeah.
There's no one making an
No
argument.
obligation.
Anybody's supposed to feel obligated to. There's no one making that argument.
Mike.
Mike.
Mike, I bought Load, I bought Reload, and I quit.
Load of Shit Part 1 and Load of Shit Part 2? Yeah. Metallica didn't exist during that period, wearing eyeliner and tongue kissing each other. If you like that stuff, that's fine. If that's your Metallica, you fucking rock it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm Master of Puppets, and I'm not apologizing to anybody.
They fell off my radar during that whole.
I
era.
forgot about the kissing thing. Oh, shit.
If that's what you're into, hey, run up the flagpole, buddy. I don't care.
To get back to the oh my god, you brought back you brought back a memory, Jay, when you mentioned clove cigarettes.
Oh yeah.
Clove cigarettes became a big deal when I was in high school. People were smoking clove cigarettes like it was the it thing to do.
Yep.
And I remember being at parties with people smoking those things, and when you'd burn like a big clove, it would like pop and crack and shoot off, and like embers would shoot off everywhere, and like people were like constantly like they take a big they take a big drag like they're cool, and then one would like pop in their face, and they I never got the fascination.
Really
Yeah, I never got the fascination of club
cigarettes almost.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny to like watch, because you'd see like a bunch of people outside smoking them, and you just hear pop, crack, pop, and then
You could smell those fuckers from a mile away too.
yeah.
I wanted to smoke red apple cigarette.
Sorry.
But I mean, getting back, I can see what Mike is saying in the fact
I can
that
see what he's saying.
even though some of the drama I've liked, I think what it is that if I look through his past, his comedy, and being a big fan of them, it's his choice. Obviously, of course, it's his life. I think it's just sad being a fan that we won't see that kind of stuff anymore. And granted, it's because he doesn't want to redo that things. I can understand that. That's every artist, every actor. It's just if you're a fan of those movies, you'll like to see similar at least once in a while. But like St. Vincent, I think is the closest in 10 years. Yeah, I thought St. Vincent really good. It's more humor. It's dramatic, but it's comedy as well. I think it's a balance of both worlds. I think I appreciate his comedy to the point I would love to see at least a few more of that. It doesn't have to be every year, but like if you do 3 drama, maybe 1 comedy. But it's been sort of 10 years of drama, or maybe that Wes Anderson type of humor, which isn't my cup of tea. But I would like to see him do, even if it's I don't know how to word it, but it just seems like the past 10, 15 years, it's mostly been just dramatic work. And, you kind of miss a Groundhog Day type of movie.
Did it seem like he was chasing the Oscar there for a while?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, I guess. I mean,
and that kind of bothers me when I see people purposefully choosing projects for the goal of getting a gold statue. If your goal is not to entertain me, then I'm not really interested in your project.
yeah.
But-
I
but
appreciate that. That's why I don't like what's his name? There's a guy that only does a movie like every 5 years.
Jim Carrey.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. The Gangs in New York dude.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, Daniel
How's
Day-Lewis.
his-
I
there it is,
don't
Daniel
respect
Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis because all he does is sit around and wait for something he knows will get him a ton of acclaim. He does that, and he does something else, and I mean, it's good. I understand taking quality over quantity approach, but I mean, sometimes it just seems like he's just trying to make a point that he's better than all these other actors.
He's still trying to get over There Will Be Blood, man. He's still that character. He's drinking milkshakes everywhere.
I really have to see that movie because I just don't get the reference, and people constantly make it. So
And you won't get it after you see the movie either.
It's a good movie, man. I really like that movie.
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock does the same thing, but she doesn't do what he does.
No,
It's like she'll make
yes.
one kind of quality project, and then the rest of it's like dumb, cop comedies with Melissa McCarthy and other stupid stuff. And then she goes away for 5 years and comes back and makes like 3 more movies, and then she goes away again. But
Yeah.
he just goes away and comes back with like one big 4-hour movie and expects to get the Oscar, and then disappears again.
Do you want people to just stick around and be in like 6 movies a year? I hate people like that, though. That just like the same actors in movie after movie after.
Well, I mean, they all
If they're good.
though. I mean,
No, I get tired of people too. But the thing is that you're saying like Bill, but you're saying Bill Murray, he doesn't do comedies today. I agree, but at the same time though, I don't want him in an Apatow movie.
Oh God!
It doesn't have to be an Apatow movie. I mean,
But that's
it could
who
be-
makes comedies today.
But what are his options? And as we said, it would be nice to see some of that again. Okay, let's say Harold Ramis is alive and well. Let's say Bill Murray's
What was the last
totally
shot Apatow movie?
enthusiastic. Let's say he's totally enthusiastic about making like another Ghostbusters. I know it wouldn't be as good, and we all know that. I just don't think it would be smart to retread it anyway. I mean, 2 was already showing some of the cracks. Can you imagine if 3 came out in like 1992 or 93? It would have been bad. We all know it would have been bad.
No,
Well,
I
maybe
don't-
some
If
other
it
than
came out-
Ghostbusters. I want to see another Bill Murray movie. It doesn't have to be Ghostbusters. Doesn't have to be sequel. It could be an original. I mean, he's still Bill Murray. He still has the sense of humor. He could still be in a film if it was written properly. There's still people alive that can write.
Did anybody see Rock the Casbah? Because that was supposed to be a Bill Murray movie, but
God, it bombed so badly.
yeah.
Well,
like,
he did that
I don't know.
because if you look at the cast, and Barry Levinson directed it. I mean, Barry Levinson's a very quality director.
Yeah. I mean, there were reasons to have hope that it would be good.
Oh yeah. But,
Well, I mean, it also has to be a quality comedy, and you can do that independent-wise as well. It doesn't have to be a big-budget Judd Apatow movie.
I mean, I think he's got enough clout to get something made.
Yeah.
Sure.
hey, he still got to fire off Hunter S. Thompson's ashes in a cannon. So.
I mean,
Oh, he was there too. That's appropriate.
It was him and Johnny Depp that lit the
okay.
fuse.
They both were. Okay,
That's
that's
awesome.
awesome. I didn't actually know that Bill Murray was there too, but that's good.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Together
just think that'd be a better usage of his time than doing useless cameos in films like Dumb and Dumber 2.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It
mean,
really,
Bill
hurt-
Murray,
it,
like,
it really hurts my heart that he showed up in that.
Well, because
Bill
like I
Murray
said,
spent a
he's
lot of-
loyal. If you get Bill Murray on your side, he'll show up whenever. Weird thing is, like if you cast him in a movie, you don't even know if he's going to show up until shooting day.
Yeah.
Like
That's
he
what they
doesn't
kept talking about with Ghostbuster. Apparently,
Well-
like they needed to have a plan for if he wasn't there because they just weren't sure he'd actually come.
Yeah, lost in translation. He showed up the first day that he was supposed to shoot. Sophia Coppola didn't even have a backup for him. So I mean, it's unbelievable.
That's the thing about Bill Murray. I like him on a professional note, but on a personal note, he just seems like a fucking jerk off.
He's a free spirit. He
Hey,
just does what
ratings.
he wants.
Hey,
It's too late.
Well,
It's too late. We screwed the pooch on this.
I thought I was going to be the one saying that kind of stuff, Rambo. I didn't know I was
What
going
were
to
you?
have somebody
were you-
behind
I'm
me.
just being honest. I mean, hey, that's more power to him. I don't know him personally. It's just, you hear enough, oil,
It seems
there's fire.
unprofessional in a way. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, what was that thing with Lucy Liu or something like?
Oh, yeah.
Charlie's Angels.
I'm like, I mean,
There was a
whether
low.
you, whether you like or hate her, or whether you, I mean, you've been in the business for that many decades, and that's how you don't act. I don't really have much respect for that.
remind
what
me
happened
what the
between
story
them?
is because I actually don't recall. Yeah.
Well, he was talking to all three of them. It's like, I get why you're here, the Cameron Diaz, you're talented. I get why you're Drew Barrymore because she's like a producer. But why the hell are you here? You can't act. You can't do anything. Just out of the blue, and just
He doesn't suffer fools.
Separated from it, I actually
That's
find that
pretty
very
mean.
funny.
That's pretty mean, but yeah, I find it pretty funny.
You know,
too.
the thing is about Bill Murray is he's one of those guys that, and I know this may sound like a dickish thing, but he's one of those guys that if he feels that you are not intelligent enough for him to be talking to, he's going to talk down to you. He's a David Letterman type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
type.
wouldn't go as far as David Letterman.
Yeah,
but
okay. that's my feeling as well.
But that's why Letterman and Bill Murray get along so well because
Well-
they're all trying to one up themselves.
Well, I mean, Leno was better than Letterman. So, and Craig Kilborn was better than all of them. So,
Craig Kilborn, yeah.
let's move on.
The
thought you
Chevy
were going with
Chase
the
show was
Magic
the
Hour.
best.
Yeah, Chevy Chase talk show.
Let's not forget the Magic Johnson talk show. That was quality
wow.
television.
Oh,
right
wow.
You could
The
just
Magic
name a
Hour.
random person,
Arsenio
tell
Hall's
me-
second late
tell
night
me they
show.
had
That
a
was the
talk
one.
show, and I would probably believe it because just everybody has them at some point. So
Do you guys watch talk shows anymore at all?
no,
I watch
no.
clips
No.
from talk shows because, like on YouTube, you can
It hasn't
like
been
see
a regular thing for me to watch a talk show in like 15 years.
I used to love Letterman, and then I'd change it over to Conan.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
watch
what I
it.
do.
I was a Conan fan for a few years. Now I just don't care.
Well, you know why? Because Conan was really
I'm sure he
funny.
still does some funny stuff sometimes.
Well, Conan was really funny at 12:30 to 1:30 when you were like half awake, half asleep, and it was so ridiculous. It was
Right,
funny.
it was-
Once it became 8 o'clock, it's not as funny anymore because you're
Well,
awake.
you couldn't have the masturbating bear on there. I don't know if I could say that.
Hey, but he has Minty the candy cane who fell on the ground. I
Well,
like
there
Minty.
was the masturbating bear, and there was the coked up werewolf. They were just too risque for TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the concept is hilarious.
I grew up on Carson and Letterman. They were the best.
Carson, man.
No,
Class all the way.
Yeah.
No, that's-
And, since we're talking about comedians, I just want to say that after this podcast ends, I encourage all of us to go on YouTube and just watch Don Rickles stuff all night long, because that's that.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, man.
We should mention the fact that Don Rickles passed away literally today at 90 years of age. Legendary
Mr.
comedian
Warmth.
Don
Mr.
Rickles.
And for you horror fans out there, he's the one that dies in the hospital in Innocent Blood.
Yep.
John Landis directed this amazing documentary about him called Mr. Warmth, which will probably still be on Netflix.
Awesome.
He was hilarious. He was in Casino. He's Robert De Niro's right-hand man in Casino. That guy will cut you down. I mean, he would cut down everybody. He was an equal opportunity offender. All the if I can say this, all the SJWs out there on Twitter are celebrating his death, which makes me fucking. I've been fighting with them all afternoon long.
Really? There's people out there
gosh.
that think it's a good thing
just
he's
ignore
gone and his humor will die
You
out.
know what? I try to ignore them,
Die
Mike.
out. It will live on, even if it's through jerks.
I try to ignore them, but when I see shit that says things like, "So a racist, homophobic, sexist white comic dies at 90," and I'm just like, "Oh, don't even start."
Cameron said, I know the world's fucked. I'm trying to ignore it. Please.
I know. Sometimes, I try my damnest, but I'm sorry.
Ignorant.
Norm Macdonald.
You
I
should
was like
tell them
watching.
to put a pair of panties in their mouth and shut their face.
Hey, he was in Toy
Close your
Story, so
legs,
I
you're
guess you
right.
can ban those movies too.
Oh yeah.
Those Toy Story
Um,
movies are so offensive.
Mr. Potato Head, yeah.
I was going through a real Norm Macdonald phase for a while, and I watched like a video where he was talking about Don Rickles' scene from Dirty Work, and just like how Don Rickles like was tearing everybody up. Like he was like, why am I in this movie? He's like picking on Norm, but I mean like total professional. Like it was a really funny thing, and in fact I think that scene is on YouTube. You can just pull out his one scene in the movie.
And Martin Scorsese, who obviously everyone knows who Martin Scorsese is, but he has severe asthma. And Don Rickles would just lay into him, and some of the clips are on YouTube. Well, he will not stop until Martin Scorsese is on the ground gasping for air. So he
was like the best of the roasters, because they got the Friars roast or whatever. They had the Dean Martin roast. Oh my God, Don Rickles was on fire. I mean, he would tear into Frank Sinatra. There was one time I was reading a thing about he pulled a prank on Frank. He had this girl, and they were out at eating, and he saw that Frank was at the same restaurant. He goes over to Frank. He's like, "Hey man, I got this girl. Would you just come over and say hi? So that she knows that I know you." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, no problem." He goes over and then Frank comes over and says, "Hey, how you doing?" And Rickles is like, "Hey Frank, I'm eating. Do you mind?"
Yeah.
Jeez,
that's awesome.
That's just the kind of guy he was. He was just amazing, funny.
I know, yeah, he did so many things, but it's true that I often think of Dirty Work as, "Hello, ice cream, having a good time in there."
Yeah, but him and Landis were really great friends, and so when Landis says, "Hey, do you want to play, the henchman to this mafioso in my vampire movie, Innocent Blood?" He's like, "Sure, why not?" It's like
that was the first thing I saw Don Rickles in, as a matter of fact. So,
yeah,
no, but yeah. Let's see. Let's move on. Stingray, tell us some of your favorite Bill Murray movies, favorite Bill Murray moments, favorite Bill Murray performances.
Yeah, man. Going into this, I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to name a few that nobody else will talk about, and you guys have hit all of them, I think. I was trying to pick a few that, of course, I love Ghostbusters. We've talked that to death before. Caddyshack, I love that. That's probably my two favorite right there, but. I was going to mention some that I actually was able to go see in the theater and really grew up with and loved a lot. What About Bob is definitely one of those. I almost cry laughing when I watch that film every time. And it's not only just him; it's also
Richard Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss. I had it on the tip of my tongue. Their exchange, the entire movie, I think they play really well off of each other.
Well, they hated each other.
And, yeah, exactly.
So that
In real
made
life.
the relationship on screen that much more vibrant. Yeah.
Why is
wow.
it so many great Richard Dreyfuss
real life,
performances are derived from like actual people hating each other off set? Because it was the same thing with Robert Shaw. Like they were fighting all the time off set, and they like have great chemistry and
I think Richard Dreyfuss may just be a very dislikable person.
Quite possibly.
Imagine
yes.
why.
Aha, nice.
You've got two big, two big egos. Probably don't mesh well together.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he shows up on set and he's like, "I'm Richard Dreyfuss."
Said I wouldn't have to wear the damn mask.
Well,
I gotta tell you, I mean, cocaine must do a lot of damage because when you look at Jaws with Richard Dreyfuss, and then you look 10 years later to Down and Out in Beverly Hills, you can't even believe it's the same guy. I mean, he's like, what? This young guy from Jaws is this old man and Down and Out in Beverly Hills?
He's all puffed out. Yeah.
It's a hell of a drug.
When I think of Richard Dreyfuss, I think of the SNL skit where they're doing the Star Wars. The Star Wars.
Have to wear the damn mask.
Yeah, he's like, I'm Richard Dreyfuss. That's just wild.
I like Walter Matthau as Obi-Wan, to tell you the truth.
Yes.
Luke, you must use the Force. What the heck is this picture about, anyway?
And people walk side by side to hide their
numbers.
And then when Kevin Spacey's doing the Christopher Walken and he's like shadowboxing before he goes up to the
I've never heard of the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah. It can hit
Millennium Falcon
in two parsecs.
No, I like the Walter Matthau one best, and they're trying to explain to him what the plot is, the movie is, and he just walks away.
Yeah, he just stops listening and just disappears off camera. Walter.
I need to watch those again,
We got to
man.
do
That
a
was some
Walter
gold.
Matthau show. We need to give him his due.
We do. But whenever I think of Richard Dreyfuss, I just think of and who was it was Daryl Hammond.
The old man.
Yeah, it was Daryl Hammond playing
It was
Richard
Daryl
Dreyfuss.
Hammond. Yeah, I just think of Daryl Hammond going, "I'm Richard Dreyfuss." Oh, God. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Stingray.
Yeah, it's it's a good family movie. I watch this a lot with my parents. They liked it a lot too. They're kind of didn't watch a lot of too risque stuff. So anything past a hard PG-13, they probably weren't going to be into. But I watched this a lot with them, my brothers and sisters. We all loved it a lot. But they're old school, man. But let's see. Groundhog Day, we touched on that.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't really get into Groundhog Day. Like some of us said we liked it. We didn't really discuss it. Yeah.
The reason Ramis picked Murray was because everybody else that auditioned he thought was too nice, and he thought Murray was the only one that was enough of an asshole to actually pull it off.
But
Murray got to be such an asshole that he would call Ramis all the time wanting to change stuff, and Ramis got so sick of it that he started sending PAs over to keep him happy, and that's why Murray got pissed at him.
Well, the thing is with Groundhog Day is it's one of the few films where an asshole becomes a nice guy, and you generally believe it happened not because it happened over a couple days, well, literally one day, but it's over, according to the writer, thousands of years that he survived replayed this one day. So yeah, you would become a nicer person after about 2,000 years of reliving this day.
I know, it kind of undercuts the message of self-improvement and spiritual transcendence then, though, because it's kind of like, it's only possible if you're immortal.
Pretty much. But Raymond said it got to the point where their communication on set became, he would start to give Murray direction, Murray would just say, good fill or bad fill, that's all I need to know.
Oh, wow.
And that's all. That was all they could, during the rest of it.
I love Groundhog Day,
fill, bad fill.
But I tend to take the more negative view of it. I take the more Nietzsche one about, an endless hell. I'm like, there'd be nothing worse than being stuck in a series of repetitive events.
And yet it's known as, like, I think it was celebrated as the most, like, spiritual movie of the last 30 years.
Buddhists love it. It's got all sorts of parallels with Buddhism and stuff, right?
My favorite part of the movie is when he kills himself over and over again. Like, it's just hilarious.
I'm thinking for the first 1,000 years, I'm going to have a good time. I do everything I ever wanted to do for the first, and then it would get boring and repetitive, and then eventually, you would eventually become a better person because there was nothing else to do.
That's what's good because there's multiple interpretations.
Yeah, but you have to be stuck in that shitty town too.
There's stuff about purgatory. There's stuff about reincarnation.
But only Bill Murray can have that just disgusted look on his face when he's sitting down going, a gust of wind, a car. he just has that horrible look on his face. And every time he wakes up and that Sonny and Cher song's playing, he's just like, oh, God.
Honestly, it's a sad commentary on my life, but he's of all the characters he's played, it's the one that I find the most personally relatable.
Oh, Eric laughed at that one.
Funny's funny.
I like the sequence in the diner where like he's accepted it and he's just like smoking a cigarette and he's got like 400 plates in front of him, and cake into his mouth, and
But I don't think that. I mean, that movie, he's great in it, but you needed Chris Elliott and Eddie McDowell there as his foils because he is nothing if he doesn't have somebody to play off of, and so you have to be that stern, straight man for him to bounce off of, and they gave it to him. So
yeah, I love Chris Elliott. I think he's good in everything he does.
Yeah. Cabin Boy.
What else is he in?
These pipes are clean.
Refresh my memory. What else is he in?
Get a Life, that TV show.
Get a Life. Hell yeah.
I love Get a Life.
I want that to get a DVD release or something, man. I want it at all.
I'm too young. I don't know.
Get a Life
movie too.
Shout Factory released it.
Who, Chris Elliott?
Recently? Oh wow.
He was in the Scary Movie too.
I love him in that one too.
So far, no recognition.
Strong hand. That's my strong hand. I quote that shit on a daily basis to this day, man.
Yep,
make room for Fanny.
He was the cameraman in Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Oh, he was in Something About Mary too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Check out Chris Elliott's daughter, Abby Elliott. She's quite fine. Just noting.
Bizarre.
You can enjoy that.
I'll check her out with my binoculars.
Well, ugly parents have beautiful children. That's how nature balances itself.
I truly don't get it because he's kind of a fugly looking dude, but she's pretty cute.
For anybody,
I didn't know that was his daughter. Wow.
For anybody who doesn't know, this is Get a Life, one of the greatest sitcoms in the history of mankind.
I've never seen it. I know the title, but I don't.
Yeah, they used the REM song "Stand" as the theme song.
I remember that.
World oldest paperboy. This played, I think, right before or right after Married with Children in the 80s, and what a duo that was. Let me tell you. But yeah, Get a Life. Check it out.
Lovable Psycho. That's pretty good. You probably can't get away with saying that anymore.
All 35 uncut episodes in this anti-sitcom on 6 easy-to-eat DVDs.
Okay.
So bizarre. I mean, literally, it says America's most lovable psycho. I mean,
that's what I said. I don't think they could get away with saying that now, do you?
No, but he is a psychopath.
Psychopaths are quite charming.
I mean, he stalks his girlfriends in the show. Literally stalks them.
Girls want to bang Norman Bates now, so.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
And Patrick Bates.
They've always wanted to bang real life serial killers. They get all that fan mail and stuff.
That's true.
Where's our fan mail? That's what I want.
Put this in my card here.
Yeah. This is what happens when Orc goes off the show for too long. We don't.
We
I
need
thought
that.
the Cole was gay guy was a fan. I thought that was his secret love letter to everything.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he doesn't send Cole his boobs, so you know.
He's not been he or she. We don't know.
He's realized I'm unattainable. I don't know. I didn't mean to.
Cole's looking for who is it? Samantha Mathis right now.
Oh, yes, that's right. Somebody brought her up. Yeah, setting my bar awfully high. I know.
Well, let's move on. Let's move on.
Right.
What were your top 3 there, Stingray?
Let's go with Groundhog Day, Kingpin, and Quick Change.
Ooh, Quick Change.
Quick Change.
Okay, I don't think I've seen.
I don't think we've brought that one up yet.
That's the
What is
First
the
film he ever directed.
Oh, with Gina Davis and Randy Quaid.
Yep.
I've never
familiar.
seen it.
I don't think I've seen it. I don't know.
Bill Murray kind of
what's it about?
directed it.
He dresses up as a clown and robs a bank, and then it's their trials and tribulations of trying to get out of town.
I did see that movie. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's right. They rob a bank and they have a really good plan to get away clean, but then it just becomes impossible to get outside the city
Are
because
you?
of a bunch of
You're thinking about Death to Smoochie, right?
Or Shakes the Clown.
Yeah.
Oh, Shakes the Clown. That's a classic.
Yeah, I
Mime
did
Jerry.
see some of Quick Change on TV, but I can't really remember what Bill Murray did in it.
You would probably recognize the VHS art of this one, Biz.
I'm sure.
What do you like about Quick Change, Jay?
It's different, it's R-rated, so we are getting the hardcore Murray back again. It's one I didn't see until just fairly recently, so I really enjoy it. I like Randy Quaid playing the absolute doofus, and of course, Gina Davis is always nice.
Her mouth is never mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Gina Davis in what
No
was that
reason for me
movie?
to say that. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Transylvania Swiss, or was
Six
it
5000.
5,000.
Transylvania 65,000? Yes.
The vampire.
I was going.
Yes.
I was going to
Very
roll
long.
on Tis Good Night.
Guys, we forgot one of the
I
major
hate the
ones
long
here.
kiss goodnight.
We forgot one of the major Bill Murray ones. Zombieland.
No, we.
Cameos.
Yeah,
though.
I was
Spoilers,
also counting
spoilers.
at the
cameos.
end.
Spoilers.
That's worth it just for the reaction when they meet him.
Yeah, but you get Ghostbusters
Bill
3 in that
fucking
segment.
Murray!
Well, and the way he dies too is the best.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But when he,
I like how he's doing Caddyshack in the credits for that.
but he has
Crystal Killer.
He's sitting there in zombie makeup doing Caddyshack. It's really funny.
but he has the proton pack. He actually does a Ghostbusters scene in that movie.
Yeah.
And It
Yeah.
was like such a cock tease. It was like, come on, we all want Ghostbusters, and you're teasing us, man. He came out in that MTV thing, right? And he came out
Yeah.
in the Ghostbusters suit.
Yeah.
What a tease, man.
Yeah.
He loves to do that.
Do you guys like Zombieland? I know it's
Oh,
on
yeah.
the fence with a lot of people.
I
I
love
love the
it.
movie.
yeah.
I just consider it a cameo. Really, I didn't really count it as a Bill Murray movie.
Sure.
No,
Yeah, it's more
no,
of
no.
a brief appearance. I mean, to be
No.
honest, it's kind of akin to Wild Things. He's
It's-
kind of just in that movie briefly, and then
But he steals the movie for that moment.
yeah,
He-
Yeah.
no, that's true.
The movie itself was supposed to be a film adaptation of Left 4 Dead 2, the video game by Valve, but Valve pulled out and they decided to turn it into something different.
Make a comedy.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Dude.
It's the only zombie movie where all 4 leads have been nominated for an Oscar, and
One is
and-
one.
They all live.
and they all live because it was supposed to be a pilot of a TV show.
Wow, cool. Well,
Currently, they're
Zombieland.
supposed to be working on a sequel, and
G.
all
Cameron
the,
could have been directed by David Lynch.
all the
What?
4 of the
It
principals.
could have been
are back.
directed by David Lynch.
No.
Mulholland Drive.
No, but David Lynch was the original director for Fast Times at Richmond High. Don't you forget that.
Wait, what? I didn't know that.
That's a fact.
That would have been
Anyway.
weird.
Yeah.
Well, let's Cole. What are some of your favorite Bill Murray movies? Bill Murray performances? Bill
Well, at
Murray.
least I can make
we
things a
call that
little.
We can call that a
little-
Bill Murray moment in Zombieland. That's one of our
Sure.
favorite Bill Murray moments.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cole.
Well, of the 3, the first 2 are pretty much the par for course. I think everybody's top 3 included Ghostbusters, and mine is
Yeah.
Ghostbusters and Scrooged. Then after that, we get the jump because people who watch the show or whatever know that it's my absolute favorite Bill Murray. I'm not kidding. Is Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou by far.
Yes!
Nothing even close
Yes!
to it. That's one of my favorite characters in the history of film. He's right up there with Marty McFly and Indiana Jones for me. I just think it was the thing he was born to play.
I watched that one last night.
I don't know that I'd make that comparison, but I really like that movie. That's a very good movie.
I mean, I
Make sure you
am a
do
Wes Anderson fan, but I mean,
He let him be Bill
I
Murray.
generally like all those movies, but this is the one I love. I love it.
He
Like
was-
I like Royal
he was such a
Tenenbaums. I like
sad
this one.
sack
I
in
love
that
this
movie.
film. No, he's awesome. I just love him so much. Every line he says is amazing in that film. Like other films we talk about, for me personally, yes, I'm like, oh, he has a great delivery here, great line. For this one, it's every single fucking thing out of his mouth. I just love every fucking line he says, everything he does, and he has arguably the most kick-ass sequence he's ever had in his career, where he single-handedly takes on some Filipino pirates, all to the tune
I'm
of
gonna take my
Iggy,
fucking boat back.
Yeah.
Iggy and the Stooges playing Search and Destroy, and he's going out capping
Yeah.
them with no fear. But I just love that character so much. And to get away from Bill Murray for a moment too, it's kind of an interesting movie in that it's actually some really different performances from some other actors. Like look at Willem Dafoe, who's usually so creepy and scary. Like, Willem Dafoe is downright lovable in this film. It's like this quirky German that has like this just like undying loyalty to Steve for no matter what, for like reasons we can't fathom, and he's just so weird and awkward about it, and he feels threatened by the son when the son comes in, and the son is what's his name?
Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson. And see,
Worst thing about the movie.
And Owen Wilson, all he does is play himself in movies. Finally, he plays somebody different. I agree, he's kind of a bit of a downer in this movie, but I mean, at least he's doing something different. He's not, hey, I'm Owen Wilson, I'm quirky, and hey, everything's great, I'm a beach surfer. In this, he's actually just like a quiet, shy boy from Kentucky. Like, he's finally playing a role. Like, it took that long for Owen Wilson to actually play a role that wasn't fucking Owen Wilson, so I appreciate that. Kate Blanchett, she's okay. You know, you could probably replace her with someone else, but still. But I mean, it's all Bill Murray. And I love the world. Like, that's the other thing I like about a lot of Wes Anderson films, is they create like a little world that I really like. People talk about like magic realism. I think this is one of the few filmmakers that actually captures magic realism instead of just doing a movie where it's like real world, but then like, I don't know, Spider-Man swings around. Like, you know, this doesn't have sci-fi elements or fantasy elements, but there's just something that makes it a little off kilter from our reality. And in this, it's just like the quirkiness of some of the characters, and of course some of the animals aren't real. Like, you know, some of the sea life they see aren't actual sea life, they're just like CG created, but they're just a little more, because they just inhabit a world that's a little more bright, a little more magical than our world, but it's still very much. And I mean, I've always loved Jeff Goldblum. This is again one of Jeff Goldblum's great roles, is like this weird asshole rival of his that's like, I don't know. He's kind of like Hitler in some ways. Like, he's just like, what's your dog's name? He's like, tells him the dog's name. And he just smacks it and goes, be still. Like, I don't know. I just get a crack out of everybody in that movie. But for me, yeah, I'm not kidding. Like, I like a lot of the stuff Bill Murray did later. I'm not one of those people that falls all over themselves about Lost in Translation, but I do like Lost in Translation. And I don't know. I'm just happy with the way, for the most part, Bill Murray had sort of dug himself out of the hole he was in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, hits and misses ever since, but that happens with a lot of actors as they get older. I mean, how old is Bill Murray? He's in his 70s, I guess.
66.
66. Okay, he's getting up there and stuff. And there's a decline happens with almost everybody we love over time and stuff. But it just mean But yeah, I can't say enough about Life Aquatic. Hopefully, somebody tell me something positive about this movie. I'm just going to eye rolls and not my cups of teas.
I was thinking that it wouldn't be a popular opinion on here to like that movie, but I remember going to the theater and.
But it's mine.
It's like, because we were talking about how like Bill Murray's not really funny lately, but I thought that movie was hilarious. I mean, again, it's got like a serious side to it, but to me that was kind of a return to comedy. Probably the closest return to comedy we'll get from Bill Murray. I guess St. Vincent sort of qualifies, but yeah, I thought that was a great movie. I think everything you said about it is kind of how I feel.
It's so funny. I don't think it's sad. I love that part. It's just like, I'm going to fight you, Steve. Smack! He's just like, you don't say you're going to fight me. Just sucker punch me.
Well, the thing is, with Wes Anderson movies, you know, he gives Bill Murray a lot of like repressed roles. And this one seemed like this was tailor-made for Bill Murray to be a character, but bring out the qualities of Bill Murray that people like and find endearing, you know.
Right. I mean, as much as I like Royal Tenenbaums, it's almost like they're doing something cruel to Bill Murray. They're like, here, play this bland, boring idiot, you know. And it's just like, oh, you could have chosen anybody. Why did you shackle Bill Murray to that role? I still like the movie, but you know. So yeah, like you said, this is more like him turning him loose. It's sort of a return to form, because I don't know. In Steve Zissou, I see Peter Venkman. I see the character he played in Stripes. I see all those characters all wrapped up in Steve Zissou.
I see the ending of life failure that was those characters in that character. He's a sad sack. I don't know. I don't like Wes Anderson, so maybe his, hey, this isn't this cheeky, you know, it was like film school ideas that didn't pan out for me. The set, there was 140 feet wide and 40 feet tall, where they didn't have walls where they could just take the camera and go from room to room, and you could see some of the choreographed things where this guy's walking in and that guy's walking out, and Owen Wilson walks a little too fast and he has to slow down a little bit so he doesn't get out of sync with the rest of the actors, and it's all one shot, and hey, there's a CGI lizard on my hand for no reason, let me flip it off. And
hey, it could be worse, Mike. You know, we have 14 new Transformer movies being made.
Oh, God.
could
I
play
think
the
it's for no
But that
reason.
movie,
He's
the
an
movie was 2
oceanographer.
hours long. It felt like 4
No,
hours.
But can you imagine? I can imagine Michael
So-
Bay. I can imagine Michael Bay casting Bill Murray to play like the president in one of those movies.
Oh yeah, I can see
I'm,
that
I'm so
happening,
done
too.
with the Transformers
I
movies. That's a
doubt
whole
it.
different
Michael-
level of suck.
Bill Murray
Hey.
won't answer his phone, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
he'll
Hey,
miss
hey,
all 20
Mike, by the
movies.
way,
I don't think he
I'm
has a
actually
phone.
not. Mike, I'm actually not a huge Wes Anderson fan myself. Like
It-
The Life
it was
Aquatic is
quirky
the
for-
one exception I make, and
it's
it's
like,
largely
look,
for Bill Murray.
I'm
I need to
cute
see
and I'm
that
being
one again.
quirky.
I
Aren't I
barely remember
quirky?
that
This
one.
is quirky. It's
Yeah, I get it. Cole's a big hipster, and he likes that. I get it.
I don't know. I just
But Bill Murray, I thought Bill Murray in Rushmore was pretty funny too. I mean, he got away with some good little
Yeah,
jokes in
absolutely.
there too.
No, I'm not saying there are some things about The Life Aquatic that I do like some of. There are some moments in it.
I don't
like,
know. I have
Willem
to take
Dafoe,
issue with
his.
Sad Sack. Sad Sack's pretty. I mean,
Well, he's so
I mean,
defeated, you know. Oh, my wife's leaving me, and oh my, I don't have any
the
money
movie
to
has a
finish this
happy
movie,
ending.
and I'm
He
a
fights the
loser,
whole
and
way.
he's just so
literally
depressed.
fights and he
shuffles.
goes to rescue. He's like a guy that he won't even call his name. He refers to him as a Bond company stooge, and he still mounts a dramatic rescue for him.
Yeah, he snaps
I mean,
at the
it's
end, and
courageous,
that's pretty funny. I'm going to take back my fucking boat, you know. Then he just starts shooting people, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
And
no,
they
this
leave
is
the
cool.
dog. He's just like, they left their dog. You fucking amateurs and stuff like that. And I don't know.
And then he leaves the dog behind, and there's that, oh, we got to go back for Carl. And then they never go back for Carl. It's just like, okay. And they find Jeff Goldblum, who was great in the movie. He was like, we were both terrible husbands, but, you know, I'm half gay, so.
I'm part gay.
Jeff Goldblum's great in everything, so that's.
He is. So there are things about the movie, but
Independence Day 2? No.
it's the directing style and the art style about the film that just is a little pretentious for me. But
I get that. I just think that like this is where it all actually works. Like
Owen
the other
Wilson.
movies,
Oh.
maybe a little bit. And I don't really like Owen Wilson's character. I just appreciate that at least he's not just Owen Wilson.
Well,
Yeah.
the reason why Owen Wilson is even in the movie is because he wrote Rushmore and Royal Tenenbaums. So
yeah.
Right.
Have you seen The Minus Man?
Me, no, I haven't.
It's very good. Should check it out.
I don't
Like
like Owen
one where
Wilson.
he's
I avoid
a
it.
serial killer.
Yeah.
But
But then after Life Aquatic, I pretty much gave up on Murray because then he started doing the Lost in Translation, and it just become he's chasing an
Lost in
Oscar.
Translation can be
Not
an
what I
Oscar.
want to see. If people like it, cool, but not for me.
but then didn't he? Well, like he
I didn't see him follow
he just
that
shows
with
up
the-
randomly.
I mean, yeah, like he shows up randomly. He does like 2 Garfield movies. He's in Get Smart.
Now
Yeah,
the
shitty.
reason
Fox. I mean, those are all.
now the reason why he
comedies.
did the reason why he did
awful ones.
the reason why he
Nothing.
did
Yeah, that's the
Garfield.
problem. They're god awful.
But see, the thing is, though, I respect his choice of doing Garfield because the voice of Garfield was the guy who did Venkman. And okay, never mind. Well, the audience,
No, maybe we don't. Go ahead. Go
but
ahead.
the audience
kidding.
might not know. The voice of
I'm
Garfield did the
kidding,
voice
kidding.
of Peter Venkman in the real Ghostbusters, and he died. So, as a tribute, Bill Murray did the voice of Garfield in the movie.
Lorenzo Music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah,
guy.
but
And-
was the
and that's
Garfield
why-
movies that much worse than Alvin and Chipmunks?
No, I
No,
like.
not
You know what though?
not
I don't
at
know.
all.
I know Rambo didn't like him. It's fine. And
No.
but I'm just saying, like when he called out that being the mistake of his career
I
in
was like, really?
Zombieland,
I'm not saying
I-
that.
I
oh,
was
yeah.
I was upset because I'm like, you've done a little bit worse than Garfield, dude. Okay.
I think
Every-
that is his worst.
Hey, if you want to talk about big actors like stepping in shit in animated movies, I mean, you could go down a list. Like,
I mean,
It's-
Bill
it's a
Bill
paycheck,
Murray,
is what it is.
That's true.
but Bill Murray is the voice of Garfield. If that his characteristics of an actor is Garfield. I mean, you
I
can't-
know. And yet they animate him like running around and doing all this high energy shit in those movies, which is so not Garfield.
Well,
Then they have
it's-
a real dog.
well, you know, I didn't
It's-
make the
it's-
movie.
I know. Right?
I'm
Well,
just
what
saying-
Ray
was-
Romano.
But didn't he do that because he stupidly thought they were written by the Coen brothers? And it's like, no, it's a different Coen. That's like the story. He thought it was written like
Possibly.
Ethan Coen.
He never answers his phone. How's he supposed to know?
He doesn't have a phone, right? They have to like wire it to him.
Answering service.
Smoke signals.
So what were your top 3 Bill Murray movies to reiterate, Cole?
Kind of the same as everyone else until
Life Aquatic.
Ghostbusters,
Life Aquatic, okay.
Life
With
Aquatic,
Steve
and
Zissou.
Scrooged. Scrooged is
Scrooge.
the other one, but we talked about Scrooge. And as far as that, yeah, I like most even the little roles he does. He's like I said, he's not my favorite comedic actor. He's one of my favorite actors. Period. I like it. him as an actor, you know. And I do agree that there are some times where he went for the dramatic and it didn't work. But you could say that about like every single comedic actor out there. One little thing I like is I really like the 2000 movie Hamlet with Ethan Hawke, where they make Hamlet. It's kind of like a corporate Hamlet where they stick Hamlet in like contemporary times and stuff. I actually kind of like it. I mean,
Julia Stiles is Ophelia though. No.
Wasn't my problem. No, I didn't have any issue with that. But and he's Polonius in that. And there's nothing amazing about that. I just always thought that was kind of a little. I like the movie because also it had inner monologue, which you just don't see in movies. Like instead of like in like traditionally where Hamlet does his to be or to be not soliloquy, where obviously he's doing it, you know, on stage in front of everybody. In that, he's walking through a blockbuster. and he's thinking in his mind, which I always think is great. He's having his like weird like existential argument as he wanders through the aisles of a blockbuster. I always like that a lot. But as far as Bill Murray being in it, I mean, it doesn't matter. It could be anybody else. But I just thought that was kind of a neat little overlooked movie. Steve Zahn is like Rosencrantz in there, and I don't know.
Steve Zahn did
it's a movie I haven't seen in a bunch of years.
I was gonna say, when I was watching that Life Aquatic, I remembered Strange Wilderness, which similar plot line, but it's a Happy Madison production. That movie has some true laughs in it, as stupid as it is, but I don't know. Lost in the aquatic thing.
Aquatic.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just paying attention to, this is a really artistic camera angle. Yeah, and it's taking me out of the movie because you're making sure that I notice that it's a very artistic camera angle.
I think your focus is a little off there, Mike. I think you have to just sit back and enjoy it and not be so critical.
We need more lens flares and push zooms, goddammit.
I tried.
Oh my God.
I tried. I gave it a second chance.
I don't even notice lens flares until people point them out to me, so I don't know. I know I watch movies the wrong way because these things I don't read them out to me.
I noticed lens flares in real life. Is that a problem with my eyes?
You may want to get those checked, Mike.
I might. I don't know.
You might want to adjust your medication.
Boy, watching that movie, I needed it.
Well, I'll go ahead and throw my top three out. My top three are, of course, Ghostbusters and Scrooged. Those are the two that I grew up with, the two Bill Murray movies that I grew up with. Ghostbusters, I mean, of course, we've talked about Ghostbusters. I don't know what kid of the 80s didn't just gorge themselves on Ghostbusters growing up. Seems like that movie was constantly on like the movie channel, whatever movie channel we were able to, tone in with like the old cable box illegally.
Yeah.
It was always seemed like Ghostbusters followed by Gremlins. So there was, for some reason, it seemed like those two were always on like back to back. And Scrooged, we talked about it earlier. I love, whoever brought up the fact that he was like the perfect 80s, caricature of a businessman during the 80s. Cool, of course, thank you. Yeah. Was absolutely perfect. And there's so many great one-liners that he does in that movie. And I love that movie. I don't think it's perfect. They were definitely the fact that like I said earlier, that it is as good as it is, and that Murray is as good as he is in it, having sort of working under protest is really, I think, an accomplishment for Murray.
Yeah, quick side note. I know that we pointed out that he's had his feuds and maybe he's a bit of an asshole and stuff, and fine. But if this one is true, I love him for it. And there is a rumor that he once headbutted McGee.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty awesome. I hope he did that, and I have all the respect in the world for him if he did it. God bless him.
I believe
what? He can throw his
Lucy Liu, but
he can throw as many women into sand traps as he wants now. He's earned that. He's earned that.
Had to work that in.
And I really like Lost in Translation. There's something about that movie. I just really like it, and I think Murray is so sort of understated in that movie. It's very, I don't know, like
but he's still funny.
It's kind of moody. It's great.
It's very moody.
That location.
Yeah. I mean, I have a big fascination with Tokyo, so that's a big part of it too. The Japanese life, and that's what it's a lot about. Like I said, it's Lost in Translation, sort of adjusting to that, but also like how it's not that subtle or anything. It about how people drift into each other's lives and how we can affect each other, and find common ground where I mean, the only thing they really had in common was that they were English speaking people, sort of, and that they were kind of lonely and stuff, and that a good script.
Yeah, and great music too. Well. I mean, Kevin Shields of My Bloody Valentine
very
did
nice
all the
music. Very nice music.
Yeah, I really, I don't know. I walked away from that movie and I was really, really impressed with it. I don't know. I really like that movie, and we've mentioned his sort of transition from comedic actor to serious actor, but we really overlooked one movie that I think was that really started. That was the first movie that I saw him in as a serious actor, not just as a serious actor, but as someone who was very intimidating and kind of scary, and that was Mad Dog and Glory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought he was really good in that as like this, gangster type guy.
Intimidating really, Robert De Niro.
Exactly, intimidating Robert De Niro, kicking Robert De Niro's butt.
And that happened. That actually happened in the auditions because Robert De Niro and Bill Murray were supposed to obviously play the other's part, and then they decided with John McNaughton, like, wouldn't it be cool to flip it? So that's why, and it works,
Yeah.
Well, Bill Murray's usually, I don't know, his acting understates his physical stature because he's 6'2", weighs over 200 pounds. He's actually a decent sized guy. He's not like a little guy. Mm-hmm. But he never really plays up that physicality a lot in his films
because he's hunched over and he always seems kind of, he's always kind of quiet. Generally speaking, it's a good point.
Like if you watch Stripes or Ghostbusters, he seems shorter than that. He doesn't seem like the big intimidating guy, but like you said in Mad Dog, he was able to kind of tap into that physicality and become intimidating.
Yeah, and I thought he did a really interesting portrayal of like a gangster because he wasn't, he was. If you screwed with him, he would hurt you, but he would kind of be like, he would lecture you a bit on why he was having to hurt you and lecture you while he was hurting you. And or there was just something about that coming from Bill Murray that, I don't know, it was unsettling for me, but that's, I think, a testament to how good he was in that role. And that was before, Lost in Translation or the Wes Anderson movies that sort of turned him into, I guess, a serious actor.
Kind of an interesting parallel.
But I've always really liked that movie.
Is that Harold Ramis directed a movie called The Ice Harvest, where Randy Quaid is kind of intimidating as like a crime guy, which is kind of interesting when you think about it.
Yeah, interesting. But of course, Ghostbusters is going to be on all of our lists. I think, regardless of and somebody mentioned the age discrepancies on the show. It doesn't matter what your age is, that's a great freaking movie.
Ghostbusters transcends.
Exactly.
The only reason I only mention it because the real Ghostbusters actually just came on Netflix, and so if you haven't actually seen that cartoon show, if that was a little if you were kind of past that in age, I actually still recommend it because I actually think it's a show that it's a kids cartoon, but it really plays with some interesting adult themes. I mean, the friggin' Necronomicon appears in one episode, like in a kids show.
I loved it. What that was out in the late 80s, early 90s?
It was 1986 to about 91.
Yeah.
And so like my whole childhood, like I was watching reruns of it. I was watching the Ghostbuster movie like a million times. So I lived and breathed Ghostbusters as a kid. That was like my show.
And the funny thing about it is I saw the movie. I kind of liked the movie. I was a little kid, so I was like, I like it. I don't know. And then I saw the cartoon, got really into the cartoon, then went back and watched the movie. And
I think I was the same way. I think I was pretty much the same way. Like my first love was the cartoon because I was a little young to appreciate the movie, and then as I got a little older,
and I kind of wanted to throw some love at Broken Flowers because I don't think Broken Flowers got any love, and
I like it.
I like Bill Murray's performance more so than I think I like that movie. But I think the fact that he's this aging sort of Lothario, but he's at the end of his life, and he's searching for that son that he may have, but he's still ambivalent about it. And I don't know, there's something about that I think is really cool. I think he gives a really good performance there. But it's very Jarmusch. If you're not a Jim Jarmusch fan, you're probably not going to like that movie just because it's very
I think that's the only one I've seen by him. What else did he do?
Down
Did he
by
do
Law.
Ghost Dog?
Yes.
Ghost Dog.
Oh,
I love Ghost Dog.
Coffee and Cigarettes, I think.
Coffee and
With Bill
Cigarettes.
Murray.
He did.
Okay,
Dead
I've seen
Man with
I've seen
Johnny
Coffee and
Depp.
Cigarettes. I haven't seen the others. I've seen Coffee and Cigarettes.
Dead Man with Johnny Depp is good. I like it. He did a movie
haven't
with
seen that
the guy who played Kylo Ren. What's it called?
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver.
Yeah. I forget what it's called, but it got a lot of praise. I'd kind of like to see it. But again, he makes. What was that, Mike?
I was gonna say that was the one about the missionaries that.
No, that was Silence with Martin Scorsese.
Okay.
Yeah,
That-
Silence. Yeah, he plays like a bus driver in this one. It's supposed to be very much, again, very Jarmusch, very much just about people, and
But yeah, and Jarmusch has like this big white hair, and he's such like an arty dude.
yeah.
Yeah, I like the two I've seen. I'll have to see more of his stuff because I think I kind of like his stuff.
I liked Only Lovers Left Alive. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I heard that's really good.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I've seen it a few times.
If you're getting
I
into
think
the
that's on my
artsy
Netflix.
fartsy films, no,
Well, it's
It's a vampire movie
vampires.
Vampire.
Yeah,
outside of my wheelhouse.
with Tilda Swinton.
it is pretty artsy fartsy. I will tell you that.
Not me. No thanks.
I don't mind artsy fartsy. I just don't like Jim Jarmusch.
Like they told me in film school, and they used to joke with me. I have a junk food. That's my level of films that I love are equal to junk food.
There's
You're
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong.
Cupcakes and
wrong with that.
Twinkies and Doritos. Give me something that I enjoy and leave.
Mike, is Suspiria too highbrow?
No, actually, that falls right within it
Okay.
because it's entertaining.
Okay.
It's
People
not.
still get killed.
It still gives me what I want, and still being pretentious at the same time. I can deal with that.
Okay.
Well, speaking of Twinkies, Austin Carden tweets at us and says he's got the pizza rolls and fries ready. So
Hey,
he's
Oh,
rocking out to the show with some pizza rolls and French fries.
All right.
Let's see what we got else going on
That's
here.
not very fancy.
Austin also says to Eric, I had the chance to see Lego Batman in the theater as well, and I was entertained by it too. So some more love for the Lego Batman movie.
I like it.
Yeah, good stuff.
Joe Purdue says his favorite Murray films are Caddyshack, Kingpin, Ghostbusters, and Meatballs.
Huh?
DJ Donnelly wants us to do a best of Robin Williams or Jim Carrey show. We did a Robin Williams retrospective a couple of seasons ago, so go check that one out if you missed that one. Let's see what else we got. Let's check the live chat here. See what we got going on. Jay, have you been monitoring that? Have they been good tonight?
Yep.
Okay, good. Because
good to go.
We're really trying to keep it PG from here on in. Patterson,
not gonna happen.
Lots of
Patterson is the name of that Jim Jarmusch movie. Thank you, Zombie Fun 100. Yes, I would like to see that.
The only time I cursed, I was quoting the movie.
Let's see. Jeremy McNeil's watching with us tonight. How are you, buddy? Ad Charlemagne is watching with us tonight. Jeremy McNeil says his top 3 Bill Murray movies are Ghostbusters, Scrooged, and Groundhog Day.
Very close to mine because Groundhog Day might be my 4.
Orc14566 says, who's this Bill Murray? He sucks. My favorite movies are Grave Encounters 1, Grave Encounters 2, Grave Encounters 3. To each their own is all I say.
I don't know. That's a little artsy fartsy for me.
a little too highbrow for my taste.
I don't think there is a Grave Encounters 3 org. So.
Oh, there will be.
He's
Only in a
hoping.
spank bank.
Yeah,
Jim
Only in a
Jarmusch is
spank
going to
bank.
direct it.
he's doing this star in it, so
Mm.
it'll take place in prison.
Our buddy DJ Donnelly's watching with us tonight. Movie Man 95 is watching with us tonight as well. See what else we got going on here in the chat. Max Punishment, how are you doing tonight, buddy? The Cartoon Man 13 is watching with us is also tonight. Cartoon Man wants to know who will fill in for Mr. Potato Head now that Don Rickles is gone. No.
I don't know. They found a perfect sound alike for Jim Varney, so maybe they can do the same for him.
You know what I mean, Vern?
I defy you to tell me that in Toy Story 3, the Slinky Dog doesn't sound exactly like he did in the first 2 movies, and that's not Jim Varney.
I've not seen the new Dumb and Dumberer, but Alex Barnes says that Bill Murray played a meth. Was he a meth maker in that movie?
You don't actually know it's Bill Murray.
That,
he's like got a
he's
mask
in like
on his
a
face the whole
head
time.
to toe suit type thing.
Yeah.
Like
The only part of the
suit?
movie I did see. No, it's like a, I don't know, like a chemical suit. Like
I got you. The
Yeah.
Breaking Bad style.
Yeah, I think so.
But you know
That's
it's
the only
Murray.
scene in the movie I
How
did see.
do you know it's Murray?
The credits, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's in the credits.
Okay. Let's see. Max Punishment says the Robin Williams retrospective was good. Thank you, Max. Appreciate that. Closing thoughts on Bill Murray. Anybody?
They don't make him like that anymore. He's a classic. And even though maybe I don't enjoy his more modern stuff, it's even, Life Aquatic, he still gave a great performance. He was still Bill Murray. He was still engaging, and he was able to distract me enough from the things I didn't like to where I could, plow through it. And I did enjoy his performance and some of the side characters, but, from where he started out, it was gold for me. So the 80s, he ruled the 80s and the early part of the 90s. And you would keep waiting for somebody to come along to fill that void, but for a while there, I guess they were trying to push Vince Vaughn, but didn't make it.
No way.
Yeah. Well, because that's what I was thinking, is that, I almost think the best compliment that I can give him is that he's inimitable. I was trying to think this whole show, and while we were, just thinking about the topic before, like, who now might be kind of like an analog for Bill Murray? And I can't think of a single, like Vince Vaughn is maybe the closest, and he's in a different universe. Like, he's maybe the closest, but he doesn't come close. And that, to me, like, that's true, like, talent. He's that bold and funny and interesting that there's no other actor or comedian out there who can touch what he brings to the table.
If you see the improv of today's comedians, besides the swearing, it's this incessant need, and once you notice it, it's hard to look back at it or not see it. And that is, they'll tell a joke, they'll say something witty that they think is witty, and then what they'll do is someone will go, huh? And then they'll explain the joke.
Yeah.
Right? They'll say something funny and then explain
That's
to
all
you.
they do in the new Ghostbusters.
Right. But
Everything is a reference to something, and then they explain it.
But
that's like every joke in the new
Bill
Ghostbusters.
Murray can just throw out one line, and you get it or you don't. And if you don't get it, you'll get it in 10 years when you go back and watch it.
So, when are we going to dinner? Like from Ghostbusters. It's like he can tell she's like possessed, and he's like, so when are we going out? It's just like he's like talking to a demon inside his girlfriend, and he's still like cracking lines that really no one can hear but him.
I'm still trying to figure out what the hell, they were thinking when him and Aykroyd shot that deleted scene of them as homeless people in the park for Ghostbusters.
Terrible.
I don't even know what that was. Did they really think that was going to go in the movie?
I think it was probably something that on paper they thought these guys would make it really funny, but then they did it, and it was like, this isn't really good at all. So they wisely kept it out of the movie.
Yeah.
I miss the way that Bill Murray would show up in movies to punch them up, though. Like how he has that really small role in Tootsie.
Yeah.
Just so he can he can give a few like sarcastic lines and like again be sort of detached from everything that's going on. It's like, okay, good luck with that being a woman thing,
Well, he did an interview with Charlie Rose back when he did Rushmore, and he said that nowadays, and this was in the mid '90s, but he said nowadays when he gets a script, his first thought is, well, how much do I have to do to fix this? Because he said the screenwriters were terrible, and he knew that 80 to 90% of his performance was going to be him having to rewrite his whole part. Maybe that's why he doesn't like to work very much. I don't know. And where he only works with directors he likes.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, we talk about I said that earlier in the show that like for some reason movies in like the 80s and 90s, and again you can go further back, there was just an economy of storytelling. Like the way that we talked before about how movies now are like 2.5 hours long. Think about how much story there is in Ghostbusters. Like the journey the characters go on, and they do it in an hour and 40 minutes. There is so much story unfurled in that movie. And now the new Ghostbusters was like 2 hours and 10 minutes or however long it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it felt like it hardly had a story.
Yeah, Blues Brothers is an epic comedy. Okay, This Is 40 should not be longer than the Blues Brothers.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
we mentioned Get Out earlier in the show too, and about it being an original
Certified
film. You know, originality is something that's severely lacking today. Instead of, you know, I'll throw some shade on the Ghostbusters movie. Instead of them trying to make it their own, or trying to do something different, but I guess in that same vein, you know, they just do a remake, and every character is trying to be the Bill Murray character from the original.
And reference the original over and over again, to the point where you go, why don't I just watch the original?
Yeah.
Exactly. Let us remind you of how much better the original one is, again and again and again. So,
All right.
You sexist assholes.
I know.
God, I had no idea you were such misogynists.
I know.
there you go.
Well, I thought it was
Why
pretty.
do you all just love that Fallout Boy song? It's so good.
Well, I thought it was racist when they cast Ernie Hudson as Patty's, uncle. They should have that. Should have been Bill Murray pulling up as their uncle.
That would have been funny. That actually would have been a really funny scene, I think.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's go ahead and let's wrap it up. Let's wrap up our Bill Murray show. Feel like we could just sit here and talk about Bill all night, and but no, we're not.
Well, knowing him, I'm surprised he didn't show up in the.
I know. I was hoping
Is
he
he
would.
back there with you, Cole? Is he in there?
Yeah. Mr. Murray, you have an open invitation to show up on this show anytime you want.
Somebody should have sent his wireless thing the Google Hangout link.
Exactly.
He would have shown up.
Yep. That would have been nice. Next week we are wrapping up season 5 of the Sausage Factory. That's right. It's that time of year again where we wrap it up for the summer. And next week, live, beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Sausage Factory YouTube channel, we will be closing out season 5 of the Sausage Factory with a Bill Paxton tribute. We will be watching and discussing Predator 2.
Oh,
yes.
And
What a
then
tribute it is.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And then right after that live commentary, we will be doing a little Q&A session with you, Sausage Factory Nation. So mark your calendars for next week, next Thursday, live, beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Sausage Factory YouTube channel. Thanks to everybody who tuned in tonight. Thanks to everybody who was in the live chat, who tweeted at us, who discussed their favorite Bill Murray movies. We appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who joined me tonight on the panel, of course. And we will see you guys next week. Have a great one. Peace.
Later.
Oh, empathy.
Weasel